Up like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show. Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillar. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out, share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content now. Share it through your social media, share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are back with another interesting episode, because that's the only way we do it over here at the Roger Report Live, giving you the best content that can be offered all throughout social media. And today we are dealing with an episode on yep, something that we hear all the time. Okay, I'm sure you hear it all the time. It's never her fault, because you're the leader. Okay, that's what we're gonna deal with, y'all. We're gonna deal with the concept of it never being her fault because you are the leader. Now, before we get too far into this, let me take a quick moment out to say shout out to all the people who give me views on a regular basis, because y'all are what make up the fan. You know, shout out to all the people who leave comments after the stream to help with algorithm purposes, and sometimes y'all give me great ideas as well. Shout out to all the people who hype me up every chance they get. It is much appreciated to help grow the channel. Shout out to all the people who hit that like button. Y'all know that's part of what the system is designed. You know, the like button tells the system, hey, this good content over here. We need to spread it around. So always make sure that the like button and those other things. It doesn't make a difference how long stream it up. Make sure you do it whenever you happen to see it. All right. And shout out to all the people who become financial contributors over at the Roger Report Live, because, we cannot do things the same way without you. And at the end of the day, you help, provide better content. You help even justify me explaining why I'm doing such great work. Okay. Not that it needs to be justified, but it does help to justify. So shout out to each and everyone who has become a financial contributor over here at the Roger Report Live. All money on the wood is good. I don't care how big it is, how small it is. We're going to recognize it all. And shout out to Kelvin Cook. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Remember, y'all, big or small, I do appreciate it all. So shout out to Kevin Cook, who is the sponsor of today's stream. And let me get some quick shout outs to some of the first people to check in this morning. When you start the show, it's always great to see that you got a few people in your corner when you get started. And y'all know how it goes. There can only be one. So shout out to the Highlander of today's stream. My main man, Bruce's own Wayne, is in the building as the Highlander of today's stream. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Shout out to Elder Blood in the house coming through right behind him. We also got Key and C and Red in the building. Great to see you. Great to see you. We got Aja Bay. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I really do. But shout out to Aja Bay in the building. Great to see you. Trail Bentley is coming in right behind him. Hashtag Long Live Habitual Line Steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the Wilderness. Hashtag Dignity Over Vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's Babies. Hashtag Hail Hydra. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. We also got the one, the only, that smooth brother. We got Chef Mike's Roundtable in the building. The Pitmaster is in the house. Great to see you. Great to see you. And shout out to the whole pit crew, of course. Shout out to the entire pit crew. Shout out to Jay Bay is in the building. Great to see you. Great to see you. The Righteous Teacher has pulled up a seat at the cool table. So I know we all right now. I know we all right. Bucket is here. What's going on, my brother? We got Brandon Gaston in the building as well. So we about to kick off another great show. Shout out to each and every one of y'all. And shout out to all the people in the clouds at all times. All right. Y'all, we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that we as black men make, y'all. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that we as black men make. Shout out to Music Man 1982. Great to see you, my brother. Great to see you. We're going to talk about a black man being in position as a leader. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that black women put on black men. They do a lot of nonsense, and then they blame black men for the nonsense that they did. And they will say straight up in your face, it's your fault I did it because you're the leader. Now, look, y'all, a lot of black men are not raised to be the leader. Let's just be realistic about it. Black women have been failing the black community for a long period of time because they choose to be single mothers. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. I understand some people may be upset at the word, but we're going to keep it real. All right. Black women have chosen to be single mothers. Now, people say, well, no, black women don't make that shit. No, the only way you can end up as a single mother without it being a choice is if you actually got married. Okay. And something happened to your husband and you became a widow. Outside of that, everything else is about choice. It's that simple at the end of the day. Now, I understand a lot of black women don't want to accept that, and a lot of black men are scared to hold black women to that level of accountability because it's going to mean something to people. Because people know people who done did this, that, and that. But none of that stops it from being the truth. All right? And a lot of black women are very comfortable doing certain things because they know, as black men, when they hit you with where you're the leader, You just gonna take it. And a lot of black men think that's when it's time for them to be quiet, because you can't really say nothing to them if they doing something wrong, but you the leader. But the leadership is always at convenience. Black women will say you the leader, but then they don't follow you. Now, what kind of leader are you of theirs if they're not following you? But black men are very honorable men. All right. And because we are very honorable, we do some very stupid stuff sometimes for the sake of honor. Okay. It's for the sake of honor. We do some very stupid stuff sometimes. And we're going to get into it. All right. Shout out to Brunk. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. Matter of fact, before I even shout you out, let me also shout out the Highlander of today's stream, because he actually came through with the first super chat of the day. I didn't even say nothing about that. My bad, my bad, my bad. Shout out to Bruce Owen. He says, untouchable Highlander. Hashtag Desaline lives on. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Yeah, well, you definitely got it today. You definitely got it today. I know you didn't got it a couple times in the past, but he say untouchable Highlander. All right, y'all. So that's a challenge for y'all tomorrow. That's gonna be a challenge for y'all tomorrow. Y'all gonna let him get them all? Y'all gonna let him get them all? Because the way he talking, he gonna get them all. Okay, so got to do something about that. Got to do something. Shout out to Brunk. Okay, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate it. He said tithes and offerings for the great reverend. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Okay. Now I don't call myself preaching. I just call myself telling it like it is. Okay, I just tell it like it is. But thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. All right, now. Again, y'all, we as black men, we're very honorable men at the end of the day. Okay, that's what happens with the collective of us. And I know some woman will mess with your head and say, y'all not honorable because y'all don't do this, that, and that. And she's going to point out some very infinitesimal group of people or some very small group and act like that's the majority of black men. And because we are honorable men, we actually listen to that nonsense and act like it's real. Okay, we act like it's real. As black men, it is okay for you to push through nonsense. And I know ain't nobody really said it to us. You know, we grow up. A lot of us, there's certain lessons that we're supposed to get from our fathers that we don't get because we're not even being raised by our fathers. Unfortunately for black children, a lot of black mothers don't love their children enough to have them in a home where they're raised by their father. All right? That's just what it is. A lot of black mothers don't love their children enough to have them raised by their father. Now, people may say, well, what do you mean? Well, let's keep it real, y'all. There's black women who prefer to have children out of wedlock because they don't want to be obligated to have a quote-unquote home with a black father. So they just have kids out of wedlock. So a home is never really established between the black man and the black woman. Now, I will give married women slightly more credit, okay? Some of them will actually leave a relationship because some man said he was going to be with her and only her, and then he broke that vow, and then a woman will use that as a means to get out. I ain't going to even trip on them. They at least can say somebody actually did something to them. But notice that ain't where most children who are raised in single mothers come. And that's not where most children in single mother homes come from. Most of them are not because some man did something to a woman. Most of them is just women wanting to leave. You know, you got these women who ask for divorces for no apparent reason. Okay. And we know it's for no apparent reason. That's why you have all these irreconcilable differences, divorces. What does that mean? Nothing. It just means we can't get along because I pretended he was the leader, but I was never a follower. What do y'all think irreconcilable differences mean? I picked this man. I pretended he was my leader, but he was never my leader because I never listened to him, or I rarely ever listen to him. Okay. I don't like him. I don't trust him, but I needed to convince people that I was okay with him so I can get what I wanted done. And let's keep it real, y'all. Some women will literally marry a man just to have children so they can say that I did not have my children in wedlock. Some women do that because, as I've told y'all before, the most important thing to a woman is her image. Now, you would think it would be herself. You would think it'd be maybe a husband if she has one. You might even think it's her child. But if you just pay attention to black women, no, it's their image. Their image is far more important to them than whatever you want to throw out there. Okay? That's just what it is. So if they feel like, because a lot of their stuff is simply about a feeling. If they feel like they'll look bad by having a kid out of wedlock, they will literally get married to a man, have, whatever amount of kids they want, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. Then they're going to divorce that man because they never, ever saw him as their leader. Hence, irreconcilable differences. How does a woman reconcile the fact that she never seen him as a leader in the first place? There is no reconciliation of that. Just is what it is. Now, the whole time she been acting like he was the leader, and somehow her asking for a divorce from a man she never wanted to be with is his fault. Now, there's some ways that you can see this pretty easy, y'all. Now, let's think about this, y'all. Any woman who got divorced in less than 10 years never actually wanted to be with that man. Okay? If it's just an irreconcilable difference, like I said, I'll give women a pass if they say, well, that guy, I came home and he was with another woman. I'm not even talking about them. I'm not even talking about them. But it's a bunch of black women who have no situation going on, and they just they want to check out because they want to raise those children without the father. So they go for irreconcilable differences and they gone. Now, let's keep in mind, a marriage is something you're supposed to do for decades. So if a woman won't even do the first decade, she didn't want to be married to that man. She wanted to take advantage of that man. And that's all there was to it at the end of the day. But she didn't want anybody being able to say to her that she a baby mama. Now, we got the women out here who are just baby mamas that never got married in the first place. Okay? Never got married in the first place. Shout out to Bucky, man. Real talk. Shout out to Bucky. He said a little something for the White Castle Fund. Well, you know what? Shout out to you, brother. Shout out. I ain't been to White Castle in a long time, but I'm going today, okay? Shout out to you, brother. I'm headed toward the White Castle today. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Bucky, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. He said a little something for the White Castle Fund. Now, I know White Castle, they say ain't everywhere, but they definitely in Chicago. So, boom. Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it. Okay? Now, I'm trying to eat healthier, y'all. So, he sent me to White Castle. Y'all got to understand today, you know what I'm saying? He sent me to White Castle. That's what he said, man. It's in the super chat. I don't want to disappoint my fans. I don't want to disappoint the family, okay? But back to business, though. Back to business. There's a lot of women who never get married in the first place because they didn't even want to present like they were going to be a follower of that man. And then they'll blame all kinds of stuff on him as if he was her leader. Now, I'm going to tell you what, y'all. I don't believe any woman talking about that's my leader if she ain't married a guy. Because any woman talking about this guy's my leader, then she gonna want marriage. It's that simple at the end of the day. At some point in time, you got to put up or shut up. All right, it is what it is. But as black men, we try to do this honorable thing, and we worried about a bunch of stuff that don't really have nothing to do with us. And we do this because black women have done so many bad things. So when you look at the overall black community, you start associating yourself with people who you really shouldn't even associate yourself with. And we look at the quote unquote mistakes of other people, and then we act like somebody did the women wrong. Black women take a lot of what white supremacy has done to them on black men, because a lot of them are just white supremacists. And one of the first rules of white supremacy is you don't blame the white guy. It's one of the very first rules of white supremacy. You don't blame the white guy. So whatever happened to them that happened by a white man, you got to take that on. In her mind, that we can't put that on the white man. We got to put that on the black man. So black men steady trying to show women that they're honorable. We do a lot of silly stuff because we want them to see us as a leader. Now that's our ego. Now I've said time and time again, you got to get past your own ego, and you got to accept that life is not fair. A lot of black men, because of our egos, we listen to dumb stuff women say. And I'm just keeping it real. That's just what it is. We listen to dumb stuff women say, and we will participate in stupidity because we're trying to get them to look at us as honorable men. Okay? They hate us. They see us as niggas, just like white folks that don't like black folks. They see us as niggas, but we're trying to get these people who can't stand niggas, who see us as a nigga, we're trying to get their approval. It is extremely stupid. When you really lay it out and think about it, it's extremely stupid. Why am I trying to get approval of this person when they see me as a nigga and they can't stand niggas? It don't even make sense. But that's what we do. Okay? I ain't talking about the individual here and there. I'm talking about as a collective. That's what we do. Because black men care very, very, very much about what black women think. We care way too much about what black women think. And we get egotistical saying that, hey, if I can get her to accept me, that means I'm a real man. It is far too many black men who base their manhood on what a woman thinks. And that's how I personally can easily tell they don't know nothing about manhood at all. Because I see it, you know. You see them talk, you see them move, and you can see, oh, okay, your manhood is based on what that woman thinks. So I know you're not a man. Just is what it is. All right. All right. Now shout out to Shark Sims. He said, I thought nigga was a term of endearment. Well, you know what? I literally just explained how they mean it. Okay, so everything has context to it. Everything got I see what you're doing, but everything got context to it. Now, this makes things difficult for black men because we worry about stuff that we ain't even supposed to be concerned with. All right. I did it myself when I was young. You know, we look at this stuff from a community perspective with a bunch of people that's not even in community with us. All right. And a lot of bum broads, they will use your ego against you by saying silly stuff like, well, y'all supposed to take care of the community. What community are you talking about? And this is why I'm going to continue to, until black folks get it, y'all. You got to understand there's two major sections of the black community. There's a black community with black men that are respectable, productive, functional, and believe in black men's leadership. And then there's a bunch of anti-family, dysfunctional, single mother people. That's their community. Now, those dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community people want black men who are productive, functional, and respectable that believe in black men's leadership to come fix a bunch of problems for them. That's what they want. Instead of becoming one of us, they want us to just go over there and fix their problems. And because some of us, we too caught up in our egos, we'll do it. And see, we got to be realistic about this, y'all. We help a lot of times in places that we don't need the help because we got egos. Now, is it good to give charity? Yes. But we should be wiser and wiser and wiser about where we give charity. But we fall into stuff because folks make us feel guilty. Let's be real about it, y'all. People make us feel guilty. Well, see, the problem, if y'all would come out and talk to these boys, we wouldn't have so many gang problems. Who's supposed to come out and talk to the boys? Because let me tell y'all a little secret. I do believe boys should have somebody that they talk to. Okay? I believe that. Y'all know who that guy's supposed to be? Their dad. That's who's supposed to do it. All right? Now, the thing is, when you're around a bunch of men, when you grow up and you spend all this different time around men, a lot of times you might start to see the world a little bit different than other folks see the world. So don't get it twisted, because I feel for some of the nonsense too. I didn't openly admit it. The reason I didn't get married because I was trying to get out here and be with one of these black women because I thought they needed us from a community perspective. I didn't know there was a bunch of knuckleheads. I did not know that. Not in the beginning, y'all. I did not know that. And I thought, that I'm gonna just tell y'all, when you a child, you see the world kind of as is. What's presented to you, you just put it off on other people because you don't know no better. I said the first kid, like I could go over to his house or whatever. Now that I know better, I understand. Okay, more than likely, the reason I probably never met his actual father, probably because he was in prison. That's probably what it was. I don't even truly know the answer. Okay, but based on stuff now that I'm older, he probably was in prison. Okay, probably was in prison. All right, but when I was a little bitty kid, I just figured his dad was at work because my dad was at work. That's what made sense to me. So there's a lot of problems that black women have, and they create problems for black children, and then they use black men's ego against them because we want to look good in their eyes, even though if you look at how black women operate, I don't even know why you want to look good to a group of people that look like that. Because I cannot say the average black woman I come across seems to be a decent person. I can't say that. Now, I know the narrative is black men are not decent people, but no, when I actually look at black men, the average black man I come across is a brother who is either in college or some trade school. If he's not doing that, he's holding down some job. If he's not doing that, he's in the military. And if he's not doing that, he's running a business. Most black men are in good position doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Now, when I think about the average black woman I come across, not such a good person. Okay. They're liars. Okay. They're trying to manipulate people into situations to help them out and usually help them only. They barely want to take care of their children, if they'll take care of their children at all. I mean, I don't really even think black women love their children, truth be told. Not from a majority standpoint. Now, some women can say she loves her child or her children, but, I don't see it. Most of them don't even want their child to have a father. So you think you're going to convince me you love your child, but you did everything you can to make sure that child is not living at their father's home? And black women will push a narrative like fatherless homes. Like, it's a real thing. Because guess what, y'all? I know black fathers. You know what they got? Homes. I know a few that got some mansions. Okay. Very limited number, but I know some few that got some mansions. I know some few that got I know some that got houses, and I know some that got apartments. So I know black fathers that have homes. Okay. Truth be told, off the top of my head, I don't even know a black father who doesn't have a home. That's real talk. I don't even know one right now. Now, I've known some before. I've known some guys who were young, and some woman, they got somebody pregnant. Sometimes they even married the woman. But I can say realistically, every single black man that I've ever known who got a woman pregnant, if he didn't already have a home, he went and got one. But they'll say stuff to us and we'll respond to it out of ego because they talk about these people in fatherless homes. Like, what they got to do with any black man? Because again, y'all, 100%. And it's hard to say that when you talk about humans, it's hard to be able to say 100%. But I don't know of any black man who got a woman pregnant that didn't go get a home. He either already had one or he went and got one. But you'll hear people talk all the time about fatherless homes. How could a child live in a fatherless home in America unless his mother does not want him to live with his father? Now, see, if you're a widow, of course, you get a pass. You was married. Unfortunately, the man ran into a situation and he lost his life. And he probably did so proudly because he was taking care of his family. Not mad at that at all. But if that's not what your situation is, let's be realistic about it. The only reason you can have a fatherless home outside of that is because there's a mother who does not want her children to be raised by a father. And then we feel guilty because a lot of us done grew up in that situation where a mother kept us away from our father and told us a bunch of stupid stuff about men not taking care of their children. And we was suckers. Let's keep it real, y'all. We was suckers. We fell for it. So now we believe that a bunch of random women that like having sex with a bunch of men and having babies out of wedlock, somehow we supposed to owe them because they decided to not have their children in a home that their father lives in. This literally had nothing to do with men. Literally nothing to do with men. Because again, how do you live in a fatherless home? Now, unless she's a widow, how do you get that accomplished unless the mother wants that to happen? It's really not too many ways to do it. Again, I'll even give the woman the pass who say, I got married and I call him cheating, so I had to leave. He broke my heart, blah, blah, blah. I ain't even talking about them. That very, very, very small percentage, I ain't even talking about them. But see, I'm going to tell you what, we make a mistake as black men. Because of this honor that we try to hold, we take on a lot of stupid stuff because the black woman will hit us with, well, you're the leader. Now, I'm going to tell you this, y'all. A leader's supposed to know who their followers are. A lot of us, we've never been taught about what a follower is. Now, it's okay to be a leader, but a leader should know how to follow. All right? But a leader also should be able to recognize his followers. All right? Now, let's look at it like this, y'all. Let's say you own a big corporation. I'm going to use Pepsi as an example. If you work for Pepsi, okay, you some guy, you get these sodas out to all these different stores. That's what you do. But you know you got a boss somewhere. You know that boss has a boss, and then that boss got a boss, and so on and so forth. You may not know all these people individually, but you know who you supposed to follow. If your manager tell you something, you supposed to do what your manager tell you to do, because that's what they paying you for. You there to get the money. You're not supposed to be there caring all about what's going on. You're supposed to do the manager's assignment that he gave you, because you there to get paid. That's what you there for. All right. So you know, hey, I'm a follower in this particular situation, and I know who my manager is. So I know who my leader is. If you run into a problem, you know, and you did what you were supposed to do, and they come at you talking sideways like you didn't mess something up, you supposed to be able to say, no, hold on now. Before you say something to me, I just did what my manager told me to do. That's what you're supposed to be able to do. I just did what my manager told me to do. So why you got a problem with me? If y'all didn't want me to do that, why would you have my manager tell me to do that? All right. But see, if you're a good follower, you can learn how to be a good leader. You know, now, I had a job, my first job, got fired from that job. Okay. But hey, it didn't matter to me at the point in time. But I remember one day, a man, it was a boss, y'all. He was a boss. He's like a half owner of the place. Man said something to me because I left the previous night without doing all the stuff I was supposed to do before I left. And, we had this white lady. We was real cool with this white lady. She was a cool manager, y'all. She was cool. Okay. She was the coolest manager we had. But for some reason, I left and I didn't do all the stuff I was supposed to do. So now it just so happened that the next day when I came back to work, or the next time I came back to work, a guy who was the manager at the time, but he also was like half owner of the thing, right? He's half owner. So he addresses me and he say, why would you leave with your work undone? Okay. Now my father had already prepared me for certain things. Okay. See, when you raised by your father, okay, a lot of times he can tell you stuff that some of us don't necessarily get because, if you're not really raised by your father just trying to spend quality time with you, but then there's certain life lessons that you don't get and you don't have them in time. Now, my father already gave me the life lesson behind this. So when dude addressed me about why would I leave with my work undone, I said, hold on now. My work was done. Okay. He said, no, because X, Y, and Z. Now, I know I was supposed to do all this stuff before I leave. He started telling me about how X, Y, and Z was not done last night or whatever night I left. Okay. And I said, hey, I didn't even try to mount a defense. I said, hey, buddy, I got a manager, right? I said, don't I have a manager? He said, yeah. I said, hey, man, when I left, my manager said it was cool. Now, did I mess up? Of course I messed up because I left all this stuff undone. But no. I'm being a good follower. My manager told me it was cool to leave. So my attitude was, why are you even talking to me about this, bro? Why are you even addressing me? You kind of need to get out my face. I need to go clock in and get money because that's what I come up here to do. And if I can leave with my stuff undone with my manager's approval, bro, this ain't got nothing to do with me. You talking to the wrong person. Is what it is. Now, again, y'all, did I mess up? Yeah, but I'm a follower in that situation. I got to get my leader's approval. All right. I have to get my leader's approval. So now you got all these women who got something to say about stuff ain't her fault. But then she'll say, you men are the leader. Can she tell you who the leader is? See, when somebody addressed me and I wanted to pawn stuff off to somebody else, I came up with who the leader was. Okay? That's what I did. I came up with who the leader was. I ain't gonna say her name, but hey, this lady, she was the leader. Okay? I worked at two. I told you I had a couple fast food jobs. I'm at a fast food job. I pointed out who the leader was. The leader said I'm good, and I left. So I don't think I need to discuss anything with you about when it's okay to leave. My leader said it's good. I'm cool. Now, if you want to talk to her about why she said I'm good, you can do that. But I did things up to my leader's approval. Now, see, we don't have that with black women. Black women are always trying to say you the leader, yet they don't seek your approval. And we dumb enough to accept it. And on a large amount of the times, we're dumb enough to accept it. That's where our problem is. Now, I got my first guest. Brunk is coming up, so I'm bringing him up right now. And I'm going to go ahead and give him the mic and let him chime in where he want to chime in with this. Brunk, you got the mic, my brother. What's going on? And you're on mute right now. You got to unmute if you're going to talk to us.
All right, my bad. You hear me?
We hear you now.
All right. Hey, man, I just sit back and let you cook for the most part. But I agree with a lot of your points on this one. I mean, you cook really on. Um, I was just thinking personally just about society and how it creates. I'm getting echo.
It could be me. I mute for now. It's just us. Well, matter of fact, this one I'm gonna go out and come back in. But just go and get your opening statement until I get back. Do your thing.
All right. But I was looking at it from a perspective of when you look at the society, it creates the conditions for essentially a woman to be able to blame a man for everything. Um, if you look at the conviction rate, black men are convicted at 5.5 times more the rate than black women are. Um, even if a woman wants to just live her life all crazy and shit, she can go to pretty much any church in the community and just convince them that she's repented of her sins and accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. Continue to behave in that way, in her double life. And she can even get resources from churches in the midst of just living her life any kind of way that she wants. So the society that we live in essentially creates the environment for women to be able to just not take accountability for shit for the most part. So I'm looking at it from that angle, like when you're faced with that situation in society, what is there that you can do? Rather than for real just move in a way that you're taking care of yourself and what you brought into this world. So I'll close my open statement with that. All right, I'm gonna wait till Roger pop back in then. But read this comment that Nightstand said society is for women. So yeah, I agree, man. I mean, that's the society we live in. One thing that I really do with my son is talk to him about all of this stuff early on to get him ready for it, you know. And I'm real and raw with my son. I tell him the truth. I don't really sugarcoat shit. I tell him exactly what society is, what to look for, what he's going to be dealing with as a black man in society. And I don't really raise him in a fantasy world to believe that his life is going to be seen as equally more important than everyone else around him. So, crazy situation to me is what I'm seeing a lot of times as far as women causing a lot of damage in their own home. But you can see that they're not being held accountable for any of the damage that they're causing themselves. For instance, let me use some examples or draw some scenarios there. You might have a black woman who has a good black man in her life, but you know how it is. She gets older, gets bored, started having kids and shit, she actually starts missing the former life that she had that this guy probably don't know shit about really because, he was her savior in a way. So then she sabotaged her own fucking relationship. But in the process of sabotaging her own relationship, she's also making herself seem like the victim and everybody else is don't really see what's going on. All right. And so now the man who is taking not only this woman, but probably her child in, married her, tried to do things the right way. She self sabotages the whole relationship, and then he ends up looking like the fucking bad guy,
All
just for not knowing game.
right, now I'm
But
back. I'm back. Now, Bronk, appreciate you for trying to fill in while I was out trying to make an adjustment here. Are we still getting an echo or no?
no, you good.
Okay, now I'm gonna remind you one of the rules of the show here. Okay, is keep the cursing to a minimum, bro.
Oh, my
You
bad,
just
bro.
be letting it rock. I don't know what's
My
wrong with you, bro. Like, come on, man. Okay. I want some of the parents ready to share this with some of their teenagers because, some of this stuff they need to get a little earlier in life, and y'all trying to give them a reason not to listen. Okay. All right. Let's keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind. Now,
my bad, my bad.
we got my main man Tunnel Runner here, so I'm gonna go ahead and let Tunnel Runner get in, and then I'm gonna get the flames going again. Okay. Go ahead, Tunnel Runner. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, sir. Sir, like I said, that statement is it's never her fault. Because you are the leader. And that's true. It is never her fault because you are the leader, but you cannot be the leader if they won't follow. So you have to get a woman who's gonna follow you. If you are the leader, she has to follow you. Otherwise, she's breaking up the deal that you're the leader because she's not following you. So you have to get a woman who's going to follow you, and respect you while they're following you. And so it's just very, because no matter what, even though they will tell you they want to lead, they want to be a partner, they always going to put the responsibility back on you when things fail. The only time they're going to take some responsibility is when things are going well.
All right, now I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna say this, y'all. Shout out to One Night Stand. He said society is for women, so I'm gonna say no, it's not. Society's for everybody. Okay, and guess who really controls a lot of what society does? Men. Okay, I grant that. This is mostly men that's gonna control what goes on in society because men enforce things about society. So I give you that. And guess what? This is where black men are messing up. Because I'm gonna say we're wrong, y'all. We are wrong. Okay, to say it's never her fault because you're the leader is wrong. The only way that's right is you actually got to have a follower. If she's not actually following you, it's not your fault. And at the end of the day, black men gotta have to learn to believe in this concept, which I do believe is one of the reasons why black men don't break up with women, because we've been fed this stupid narrative about how we the leader and it's our fault. And somebody got some TV on in the background or whatever, something like that. I think so, turn it off or whatever. At the end of the day, you cannot be responsible for people you do not lead. I mean, now I ain't gonna even say that. Technically, you can be if you want to, but that's charity. It's not you don't have to take on the responsibility for people you do not lead. Okay, I've said time and time again, probably one of the reasons the channel has been shut down so many times, because I don't just come out here and say that stupid thing that most people say, where as a man, you're supposed to be a protector and provider. That's stupid. You're supposed to be a leader, protector, and provider. If you're protecting and providing for people you are not leading, that is charity. Now it's fine to do charity, but you're not supposed to talk about charity as if it's a responsibility. Charity is charity. It's in a separate category. You get $1,000 on a paycheck. If you owe $900 in responsibilities, you pay the $900 and don't even worry about it. It is what it is. You only got $100 left. That you did the right thing by spending the whole 900 on the responsibilities. Now, if you get $1,000 on the paycheck and you have $500 worth of responsibilities, you can pay your 500. But if you give up 900 and the other 400 is charity, you're supposed to know that's charity. The problem is we'll give money as if it's responsibility, even though it's charity. At the end of the day, a woman is supposed to suffer if she refuses to do the work herself. The only way she don't have to do the work herself, she's supposed to have a husband who's willing to do it for her. Now, as black men, this is where we do stupid stuff. Why do we take on women's responsibility as if it's not theirs? How is it not her fault if she's not married? Now, see, I deal with a man, but you got to have a husband for me to do that. Any woman that tells me something is a man's fault, I'm going to say, well, okay, how was it your husband's fault? If you can't tell me about your husband, then how can I really accept that it's his fault? Because at the end of the day, you still doing what you want to do. Now, I get it. Some of y'all folks out here, y'all live together, okay? And y'all play certain games. But at the end of the day, I still blame women for living with a man that don't want to marry her. That's her fault. See, you can say all kinds of stuff. Well, no, see, I was with this man. I gave him 10 years of my life. Why would you give somebody 10 years if you don't want to marry him? I did want to get married. Well, he didn't want to marry you, so why would you stay in that situation? Well, I can't make a man marry you. Exactly. So why would you stay in that situation? See, I'm a very consistent person, y'all. If it makes sense one way, it's got to make sense the other way, or it ain't supposed to be done. You can't tell me men are leaders and then say, well, I was with this man for 10 years, but he never married me. Okay, so he wasn't your leader then. No, he was my leader. Then how come you're not married to him? Well, he didn't want to get married. Well, then why are you complaining then? Because if he was your leader, you'd have no complaint. See, and that's where a lot of black men don't really get it. You'll have a woman who got complaints about some man that she decided to be with because she live in America. So this is her decision to be with this man. And shout out to all my people listening outside of America. Okay? She listening to that man. That man decides she ain't good enough to marry. Now, I ain't mad at him because that's his decision to make. He's a man. He has to decide, does he want to take the burden on of her of being a wife? He don't want to take it on. That's his business at the end of the day. I ain't mad at him. So when she says, I've been with him for this prolonged period of time, but he wouldn't marry me. Okay, so my thing is, you supposed to be cool with that then. And if you're cool with it, why are you complaining about the man? If he clearly don't want to marry you and you good with his leadership, why are you complaining? Why aren't you just accepting his leadership and doing the stuff that he asked you to do? Which means you don't get to break up with him. You don't get to have 3 kids with him and then say it's the man's fault. No, it's your fault. You the one decided to have children by a man that don't like you enough to marry you. But see, we as black men collectively, we don't think this way. We sit here and want to talk bad on the man as if it's his fault. She ain't got to have no baby she don't want. Now, that's just the reality of America. You know, now there's some men who say, well, black women, they get rid of too many babies. See, it don't make no difference how you feel about it. She only having the baby that she want to have. Now, I can feel some type of way about it, but that ain't going to change what she do. You can feel some type of way about it, but that don't change reality. She has the baby she wants. So if she been with somebody for 3 years, for 10 years and got 3 kids by them, and then she want to break up, that's her fault. Because he's the leader. He decided she's not good enough for marriage. That's what he made a decision of. But she said, I want to be with him anyway, even though I'm not good enough for marriage. Why should I look at him like he did something wrong? He made it clear he didn't want to marry her. And people say, well, he never made that clear. If he didn't marry you, how much clearer can it be? He ain't bought you no ring. The man ain't proposed. He ain't married you. How much clearer can it be? You know what, y'all? Have you ever applied for a job and waited on them to call you? How long do you wait for the job to call you? You do something, you go somewhere, you fill out some application, you talk to somebody, possibly even had an interview. Interview could have went well. And they say, well, we gonna call you. How long you wait on that job to call you before you have an understanding you didn't get that job?
Hey, Roger, I'm still waiting for the National Baseball League to call me. I'm still waiting.
How long you been waiting on them?
About 32 years.
about 32. Now, I'm going to say, I think after 32 years, I think it's safe to say that unfortunately you didn't get that position. Okay? You didn't get that position. You know?
They missing out, man. They missing out.
Now, I'm saying this because a lot of black men, we walk around with all this unnecessary guilt for stupid stuff that ain't really got nothing to do with us. All right. How is it your fault that some woman made a stupid decision about some man that didn't like her enough to marry her? Okay. I was just talking to one of my goddaughters last night. You know, I'm like, well, what's going on with marriage? You know, you've been messing with this dude for this period of time. You know, you ain't got forever. You know, what's going on? You know, is y'all gonna do something or not? You know what? That's me. Okay, I don't see no problem with it. My thing is, what's going on with you two? Y'all been together. Y'all been rocking for a good little time now. So, you know, what's the whole thing? Why ain't y'all talking about no marriage? I don't see nothing where y'all trying to align with the marriage. I don't care how young you are. I tell everybody, 30 round the corner. Do you want to be a certified loser? You really want to make it to your 30th birthday and not have a husband? You want to be like these other losers? Is that what you want? You know, I keep stuff real, y'all. Same stuff I say on air, same stuff I be doing in the background. Okay. Now she in her early 20s. You know, and what have I told y'all? A woman needs to be, she's supposed to be a base model wife at 18 years old. And she should be getting married around 22 years old. Okay. And I understand people think, and see, this is our fault as adults. You got a young person, she 18, 19, 20 years old, and you ain't told her 30 round the corner. Okay. 30 round the corner. We know how life did. We know how fast time can just seem to move on. 30 is around the corner. Once you hit 18, you almost 30. But we supposed to be telling them this because we done been through it already. And at the end of the day, if you the leader, she's following you. So why would I tell my goddaughter that 30 around the corner, even though other people say, well, she ain't nowhere near 30. And I say, I understand you're going to have women telling you shouldn't get married and all that type of stuff. The only thing they really saying to you is you ain't sucked enough dicks yet. That's all they really saying to you. You need to suck some more dicks before you get married. Because what else is she saying? Every woman who tell you that, what's she saying? You ain't sucked enough dicks yet. I say, you think you making it easy for your future husband, whoever he end up being? You think he want you sucking more dicks before y'all get married? Is that what you think he want? Yes, I get very raw and real with people, y'all. Now the thing is, y'all, that's just a small example about some level of leadership to people. Now, again, when it comes to women, you're dealing with some woman, and you sitting there having her tell you that everything's your fault because you're the leader, and she's not even listening to you. You're gonna have to come to terms with reality. And I'm saying to this as men, because this is our own fault. We can't blame women that they're not listening to us, and we're taking on leadership responsibility for them. We can't blame them for that. That's our decision. Why are you taking on responsibility for a woman you don't lead? And I'm saying this because we do know the general population of black men, we do not break up with women, which means we literally take on responsibility for women that do not follow us. When are we going to stop that? You pay the cost to be the boss. So why pay the cost and not be the boss? Now, this is something black men got to deal with as an individual. You got to look at yourself and say, why do I pay the cost and I'm not the boss? Now, you got a bunch of bras on social media right now trying to tell you how much money you're supposed to make so you could give it to them. And she's supposed to be charging of money. She's supposed to be in charge of money you earn. And got the nerve to tell you she a prize. You know what I ain't never seen? Not one time. I ain't never seen somebody go to a game show to buy a car. I ain't never seen that. Now, I've seen people go on game shows and win a car. Now, when you win one, yeah, that's a prize. You're not paying for the car. That's a prize. When you go to a car lot to buy a car, that's not a prize. That's you just buying what you can afford to buy. And I know people don't want to look at women in certain ways, but you buy her. She don't buy you. So how's she the prize? I ain't never figured that one out. It escapes me to this day. Okay? I don't even understand why men don't see it that way. Well, I mean, I do, but, for the sake of conversation, I'm going to say it that way, but I really do. So now my thing is, women would tell me as a man, well, the reason our society is like this is because y'all the leaders. No, the leader is the person you listen to. I'm not your leader. When the last time I told you to do something, you did it? But see, we get in conversation with women and we never call them out for not listening. Now, we'll say they not listening as in they not hearing us or whatever case is, but we don't call them out as in you're supposed to be punished because you didn't listen. And at the end of the day, if you don't listen to a man, you're supposed to do it yourself. And I'm not supposed to concern myself with your outcome. Hence, why I say I belong to a community of men who are respectable, productive, functional, and believes in black men's leadership. Our wives and the children that live in our homes. See, if you as a black woman don't fit that, you're not a responsibility. Now, I could do something for you, but if I do something for you, that's charity. Now, I don't mind doing charity. God wants us to be charitable. You just got to be wise on what you give your charity to. I just been, as I get older, I'm just a little bit wise on what I give charity to. When I was younger, I would put in money for that back to school fund. I didn't said this before, y'all. I remember, back to school, I give them money. Why? Because the kids needed book bags and coloring books and pencils and pens, and I give them money. But now that I'm older, I didn't realize that the only reason those kids need somebody to pay some back to school stuff is because their mama's keeping them away from their father. That's it.
Boom.
Okay. You need me to donate to some back to school fund so you don't have to pay for your children to get school supplies. You rather spend your money on other stuff. So you will go get some free school supplies so you can waste money. Now, why am I going to donate money so some woman can waste money? Now, people be like, no, man, the kids, man, they need the supply. No, they don't. If they mama care about them, they're going to get the supplies they need. Why would I have to give you money for some kid I didn't have so they can go to school? Now, it'd be different if women couldn't have a job, but I haven't been alive long enough to see where women couldn't work. I'm just keeping it real, y'all. I ain't been alive long enough to see that. When I was born, women had jobs. So a lot of people talk about this fantasy thing like stuff wasn't available for them. Okay? Women could go to the military. I could go to the military. She can go to the military. I can get a job. She can get a job. I can go to college. She can go to college. I can go to trade school. She can go to trade school. I can own a business. She can own a business. So anybody talking that leader stuff, I need to see who you following. And that's why I've said time and time again, if a woman needs something, her husband should tell me about it. I don't need no woman randomly talking about what she needs. No, have your husband talk to me about what you need. See, when your husband talks to me about it, I can make a measurement of him to see if he belongs to my group. And if he belongs to my group, I'll do far more with him than I'll do with somebody who don't belong to my group. Because it ain't like other people can't ask me for something. It's people outside of my group that they be out there begging too. And I give them what I want to. See, if I give you something and you white, you Mexican, you Hispanic, you Puerto Rican, you Chinese, whatever, you Korean, whatever you want to say, you Indian. If I give something to them, it's automatic. A notation. This is charity. I can get them $5 if I want to. It's just charity. But it ain't gonna be anything more than that.
Yo he hecho.
Yeah.
Bien por ti.
And that's something that a lot of black men, we have not been taught to connect on. If I give something away, it's fine to give away charity, y'all. Again, y'all, God wants people to give charity, so I'm never going to be anti-charity. But you need to recognize what's responsibility and what's charity. Shout out to the Great Black Reset. He say, Roger out here telling the truth again. Hey, man, that's what I'm going to do, man. That's what I'm going to do.
Check it out.
So when it comes down to it, y'all, at the end of the day, we need to, as black men, recognize what are we actually doing out here. Am I trying to better the society by my acts, or am I trying to make it worse? Because I'm going to say one of the biggest problems black men have, if not the biggest, we never blame women for stuff that's their fault. Okay, or we hardly ever blame women for stuff. Collectively, we never blame women for what's their fault. Now, I may blame women for what's their fault, but collectively, as black men, we don't do that. Collectively, we never blame women for stuff that's their fault. And people be like, well, how is it her fault? Does she have a husband? Because if she don't have a husband, I don't even want to hear that it's not her fault. Now, if she has a husband done signed up to make sure she good. So as long as she got a husband, I can talk about what her husband is supposed to handle. But if she ain't got no husband, how am I supposed to act like it's not her fault? She an adult. What can a woman do as an adult without a husband that's not her fault? If she has kids out of wedlocks, I can't blame no man for that. She wanted to get pregnant. She wanted to have those babies. That ain't no man's fault. Well, it takes two to tango. No, it takes one woman to make a decision. I'm going to have sex with enough men enough times until I come up pregnant, and I'm going to carry those babies to term. That's a woman's decision. That's not a man's decision. Because men don't have control over whether she has a baby or not. Truth be told, it's been so many women who've been dastardly enough that they talked to their husband about having another child, and their husband told them no. And they went and got pregnant by somebody else. So you can't sit here and tell me that a woman having a baby ain't her decision, because that's the rules of America. It's her body and it's her choice. So that means it's her fault. It's that simple at the end of the day. So when you got all these single moms out here and people talking about, well, you black men done did. No, black women get pregnant when they want to get pregnant. Their own husbands can't even stop them from getting pregnant. If they say, no, I'm not getting you pregnant, they'll go out and sleep with a bunch of other men till they come up pregnant. And then if he do something to her, people act like the husband wrong for doing something too. You don't get to claim I'm your leader at your convenience. But see, this is where black men got to get past their own ego. Stop allowing women to assign you as their leader when there's no requirement for them to be a follower. That does not make sense. Yeah. Now, I said something earlier about, okay, a guy works for Pepsi, right? Pepsi understands they employ this guy. So there are certain things this guy will do that they will deal with because they employ him. Because they have a leadership change, and he's involved in the leadership change. But guess what Pepsi don't do? Pepsi is not going to take responsibility for somebody who works for Coke. Now, this is what black men do. We Pepsi, we got people doing all kinds of stuff with Coke, and then we act like we supposed to go over there and clean it up. Well, Roger, what do you mean? If a Coke driver falls asleep at the wheel, he runs a semi-truck into a building. What you're not going to see happen is Pepsi going to come out and say they're going to take full responsibility because Coke's driver fell asleep. You're not going to see that happen. I can guarantee you that's not going to happen. Now, Coke may come out and say, we're going to take responsibility for our driver and whatever damages it caused, and we're going to fix this and fix that or whatever. You know, hopefully what no human life ended it or nobody was hurt. But if somebody was hurt, we'll pay for the medical bills. They'll do stuff like that because they're taking responsibility for their follower. See, if you fell asleep behind the wheel, you done ran into a building, Coke gonna take responsibility for their follower. But Pepsi ain't gonna do it. Pepsi is never gonna take responsibility for what a Coke driver did. But that's black men. Some of us, we allow women to get us into our egos. They tell us some silly stuff, and we want to feel like we the man. And now we start trying to take responsibility for stuff and doing stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us. And a lot of it does come from this idea that a single woman is part of our community. Now, look, if you are an anti-family person, if you're a dysfunctional person, if you believe in single mother culture and you want to take responsibility for women who have children without husbands, women who are not married and they get themselves in all kinds of trouble, if you want to take responsibility for them as a man, I ain't even trying to stop you. That's real talk. I don't care what you do with them. But what you're not going to do is put me in it. If she did something wrong and she's not married, I don't care what happens to her. She's not a part of us. That's like me worrying about some Korean woman in Korea. I'm not checking to see what she did. She in Korea. I don't really care what she did. She's in Korea. I ain't taking no responsibility for what she did. She's in Korea. Why would I be concerned with some Korean woman in Korea? Now, does that mean I got something against Korea? No, I'm not even saying that. I just don't have any thoughts about some Korean woman in Korea. Okay, well then, see, you may say, well, Roger, she's a black woman in America. Okay, that's true, but which black America does she belong to? Well, Roger, you black. Yeah, but that don't mean she belong to my black America. My black America is black men who are respectable, productive, functional, believe in black men's leadership, our wives, and the children that live in our homes. So what black women had a problem? And usually when you see a black woman who's having a problem, and we see it all over social media now, who are they? Single women. If she's single, that means she ain't married one of us. You know, 2025, black women took some hits. They took some in 2026 too. Yeah. Articles came out, stories came out about black women losing jobs. Right? You hear these big numbers where black women lost some jobs. Well, whose problem is that to solve? See, black men, we need to get on the same page. Look at all these black women that lost a job. What black women? Because I'm going to tell you what I never saw. Now, I heard a whole lot about how Trump was doing this and Trump was doing that, and this was people was going down, and these people lost their jobs. And I heard a lot about that stuff. But I'm going to tell you what I did not hear. I didn't hear one married woman say she's having a problem because she lost a job. I even did a little research on it and did a story on it. I think it was around 300,000 when I did a story on how, the black women was losing their jobs. I think about that time it was around 300,000 that lost a job. I ain't hear nothing from any black woman who was married complaining that she lost her job. Not one. Not one. And I done told y'all before, I don't really believe in coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah, I know a lot of black women lost jobs. But if you got a husband, why would you be on the internet tripping? Oh, that's right. Your husband gonna hold you down, so you good. Now, you know who I saw complain about they lost a job? Some single women. I definitely saw them complain. Now, they didn't even necessarily say what their marital status was. You just pick up on the details. Well, I just bought this car. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. That sounds like a single woman. I've been in this home for X amount of years, and I don't want to lose it. Well, that sounds like a single woman. Because if married women lose a job, their husband going to pay the mortgage. If married women lose a job, their husband going to pay the car note. So That's why they don't react that way. So it was a bunch of single women complaining about what they now gonna have to deal with because they don't have a husband. Well, they not a part of my community. See, if you black men would have did this, who? See, don't claim I'm your leader and you don't follow me.
Yeah, I
That's
was
my
just
thing,
gonna ask,
y'all.
Roger. I was
Don't
just
claim
gonna
I'm your
ask.
leader if you ain't gonna follow. Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Who was
No,
that?
I was just gonna ask. Isn't it our fault that we're not marrying them and putting them in positions that they have to work to begin with?
No, it's a woman's job to convince a man that she's worthy of marriage, and it's their job because they don't want to take care of men.
Hey, Roger, my wife lost her job in 2025, but she ain't complaining.
Oh snap!
She ain't complaining because she got me. She got me. It was nowhere to go. She didn't have, nothing changed for her. Everything was still the same.
Oh Lord, the man right here on the panel holding her down, holding it down. You know what? And that's what I'm talking about. Shout out to you, to the wife. Didn't have to make one complaint about losing the job. You know, so far I've never seen a married woman sit down and complain about losing the job. Now I know married women. I'm not gonna tell you I ain't none of them ever lost a job because they had, but they had husbands, so it wasn't that big a deal. And that's just real talk. Okay. Now let me get the flow over to. We got a new guest coming up. Jermaine's fault. That's the name, y'all. That's the name. Jermaine's fault. You have the floor.
Happy Tuesday, Roger. Happy Tuesday to everybody.
How you doing, brother?
You're always happy. You, y'all a bunch of bitchless niggas. Always laughing. Because you ain't got no hoes in your life. Anyway.
You pick a certain name. I don't know how you coming off sometimes.
Yeah. So since y'all are talking about, I overheard you said community. We ain't got no community, right? These are the baby mamas. You know what I mean? And if they are not wives, that because these ain't women. I refuse to call them women. I call them hoes. We cannot be out here turning hoes into housewives. You know what I mean? So yeah, let them suffer. Let them suffer whatever comes their way. I mean, they gonna blame Jermaine. Just blame Jermaine. Who cares? Jermaine just gonna grab his passport and dip out. He gonna marry out. He gonna leave the country, go get his wife, and he good. He gonna build his own community. Let them deal with the fallout of the community. I mean, that's their thing, not us. We don't know anything about that.
But Jermaine,
Thank
they
you.
need somebody to blame. They need somebody to blame. You gotta stay where you're at so they can blame you.
No problem. Okay, let's say they blame, but you're indifferent. What else? They blame, but you're not even here.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold, Jermaine. You supposed to be an open, bleeding heart.
Me, I,
What
I
was
don't care. I don't care nothing about
see
them hoes.
this is the thing, y'all, and this why I stress it so much that you got to understand what community you belong to. There's different communities out there, okay, but the two main communities of black people who live in America, there are black men who are respectable, productive, functional. They believe in black men's leadership, our wives, and the children that live in our home. If you don't fit that, you just don't fit it. That means you're not a part of us. Now, some people may say, well, what if a man like that has a child that lives in a different home? I mean, it's possible. You know, maybe before he got himself together, maybe he had a kid out of wedlock or something. Something like that possible. But does he live with his dad? Well, nah, you know, he lived with a mama. Well, then he ain't part of our community. But you know, the dad gonna want his son to be part of his community. Then dad got to somehow get him into the household. It is what it is. If you don't live with your dad, you ain't part of our community. That's simple at the end of the day. You know, life ain't fair all the time. Your mama don't like you enough to put you in your father's home. That's a you problem. Oh, Roger, don't say that. They just kids. Well, what you want me to say? Who's supposed to change that? The mother has her reasons for not allowing that child to be raised in their father's home, knowing that children normally have better outcomes when they're raised in their father's home. See, this is what a lot of people don't say. Because they'll look up statistics and say, well, you know, if you got a single mother home is not necessarily better than a single father home, and that's not necessarily better than a two-parent home. Well, in two of those three scenarios, the child is being raised by their father.
Well, Roger, what would Jesus do though in that situation?
Jesus would tell her to give the kid to the father. What you mean?
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking for a friend.
Okay, because Jesus already proved that every child belongs to their father. So everybody who believes in Jesus, what is Jesus' significance? His only father is God. Jesus was born of a woman, but he wasn't born in sin, which means you are your father's child. You know, now I hear a lot of people saying stuff about Christians, but I'm telling you, if you actually look at that Bible, the Bible makes stuff real clear. Okay, the Bible makes it very clear that you are your father's child. So now, if some guy who is productive, he is functional, he does believe in black men's leadership. Okay, he is respectable, but unfortunately, maybe he had a kid before he got that way. It's people that change their lives. That does happen, every blue moon. So maybe he did have a kid before he got that way, and he was rocking with some woman who ain't worth nothing really. And maybe his child is over there. Well, your child don't get to be in our community as long as he over there. You're gonna either have to get custody of your child and get him over here to us, or you gotta wait for your child to grow up and make their own decision to come join us. It just is what it is, man. Fair is fair. At least we fair about it. We give you a chance. But life ain't fair, so you may never get over here. But hey, that's on your mama. And a lot of kids don't know how to deal with the fact that their mama didn't love them and put them in a terrible position. So a lot of people gonna have to wake up. Stop blaming your father for the position your mama put you in. But I'm gonna hold fast real quick because I got the Empire Strikes Back has joined the panel. Okay, so now we got people striking back. But you got the flow, my brother. Go right ahead.
Man, these women out here using Jedi mind tricks on you niggas. That's what's happening. That is what's happening. They ain't going down. We got a bunch of Sith Lords running the community right now. Bro, these women, man, they don't want success. They don't want to succeed. Hold on a second. Let me drop this noise real quick.
Execute Order 66.
There you go. There you go. They don't want success. This is white supremacy 2.0. The white supremacy will not allow the black man his due role, even if it will lift up the country, because it's just in them to not see the black man succeed. The black women in mass are on the same program, even if they know it's better to have a husband, even if they know life is going to be better for them and their children. They will not give up authority. They will not give up power. They will not give up control. They rather see it all burn than to see success if they don't have control. And this is what's going on. What brothers? It's over, man. It's a wrap. It's over. You have to replace these women.
Let me let me
This
let,
is
let me let me let me tell you right quick.
community suicide. Go ahead, brothers.
So you want wives, huh? That's what you want?
Yes, sir.
Don't you know that wives are for men, and you're just an inward?
Now,
Even in words won't wise, or even in words won't wise.
My my inward. We got we got a bunch of hoes out here, man. Go get you one, fam. That's all we got for you.
oh, but see, this is what the problem is. Again, we say it's never their fault because you're a man. That's literally what the problem is. How is it a man's fault that you are not married to mess up your life?
What? That's the Jedi mind trick. This is the mind trick they've been playing on brothers for years. Whenever it's a man's fault, it's easy to point at a man and say, "It's your fault. You need to fix it, whatever it is." Whenever it's a woman's fault, it's going to be our fault. It's going to be both the man and the woman's fault. If you follow any
Mhm.
serious conversation with them, that's how it's going to go down. They will never come out and say, you know what, that's something I need to do better and improve upon. I need to fix it, and then we can come back. We can come back to the drawing board once I address that issue. Anytime you nail them down to understanding that this is an issue with a woman, it's like they glitch. They just glitch out, and it's got to be our fault at that point.
No, I don't even see it as a glitch because if it's both of y'all fault and you're the man and you're supposed to be the leader, whose fault is it by default?
It's the leader's
Not
fault.
my fault.
So it's
That's
still
the
not her
that's
fault.
that's the
Exactly.
trick. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole trick. That's the whole trick. What's happening, usual business?
What's up? How y'all doing, man? Um, it's the proverbial yin without the yang, right? Black women want to be a yin without no yang, and then expect to be able to blame somebody else, right? Yin can only blame yang because yang is over already pushing, right? Yin can only blame yang because it's doing the same thing because he's pulling, right? What they want is an unnatural balance, right? And it's not going to be able to hold. Like I said, what you've seen and what is it here and in other places is the new form of feminism, which is just what I said, white supremacy, right? Now if we can get the minds of people not only here but also, let's say, in Africa and other places, understanding that when they say feminism they just say white supremacy by by another name, then we will all be looking at this situation with the proper framework, because we understand what we're dealing with. Oh, you dealing with white supremacists. Feminism. Okay, I understand white supremacy, but
Now,
I'm gonna let that be.
now I'm gonna say now realistically, whose fault is it that it's never the women's fault? When we as men, and I'm talking about collectively, not nobody necessarily on the panel, not necessarily myself, but I'm saying collectively, we as men, we keep saying stuff is not women's fault because the man is the leader. See, we will agree that a man's supposed to be the leader, but we never actually look for the leadership that he's supposed to have.
It's
Now, why are
because
we doing that as men?
we have agreed to the rules they have presented to us. I say they, black women, without putting forth a framework around it and rules and principles to follow.
Now, see,
Hey,
go ahead, turn around. Go ahead.
I'm going to say we've been set up because they have been telling us when they're in high school and college that nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. And then they turn around and say it's Jermaine's fault. So if you're telling me from the get-go that nobody's going to tell you what to do, which is a big lie because we all have to follow rules and regulations, but they're telling us they're not going to follow no, they're not going to let nobody tell them what to do. How can it be our fault?
Okay, now
because of slavery. Responsibility without responsibility of production without without having any personal oversight and without having any being able to give any instruction and guidance. It's slavery.
now, now I'm gonna say this because I'm pretty sure y'all heard this too. How many times have y'all heard a man say, "Real men don't blame women"?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes it's their ego talking. You know, it's that ego, man.
But
That
now, I
ego
mean,
won't kill
it's
y'all.
it's it's very much an ego thing, but see, my thing is I'm presenting something very real amongst black men. You know, we think in that concept from a collective standpoint, and I'm pretty sure y'all have heard many men say, "A man does not blame a woman." There are men who will say that's what manhood is about. A man never blames a woman. Sound like the dumbest niggas ever to me. I'm just telling you, that's my personal view. Every time I hear somebody say something that's stupid, I be like, this a dumb nigga.
Hey, leave
Okay.
Steve Harvey
Now,
alone. Leave Steve Harvey alone. He don't.
Well,
I, now I ain't
the
calling
fir-
no names, but I am saying this is a very real thing because everything that I was taught about manhood did not include a woman.
the framework in that statement is not in place. That's the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean,
blame a woman when you're the leader and she's following your lead, when she's being obedient to your instruction, when she's being obedient to your authority. Then you don't blame her. But if she goes out there uncovered, she doesn't have a husband, and she is not under the covering of her father, whatever happens is her responsibility.
Oh, stop right
this is
there.
why
Stop
I
right
like
here.
to
Stop
say,
right here. No, 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 no. We're not going. We're not going to let this slap. What
Well,
woman,
hold
sir?
on before you
What
don't let
woman,
it
sir?
slide. Before you don't let it slide, shout out to Emerald Ed 72. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. He says heard it way too many times. Yeah, y'all. You know, and I'm pretty sure we gonna hear it again and again and again because, as I said, y'all, this is an issue for black men. We collectively are dumb enough to say stuff like, "A man never blames a woman."
I think, that's the reason is because that's black women out there setting up there. What is it? That matriarchy with that patriarchal benefits. Yeah, I mean that's what they setting up. They let y'all know we want this matriarch. We want them patriarchal benefits. Now, if you crazy enough to go, go ahead and go give it to them. Then it is what it is. But they gonna ask for it though.
I can let you slide like that. I can let you slide. What woman, sir? He's a host.
Look. At the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference how you classify them because
Mm,
because some women who are at the top of society or more towards the top, they're doing some of the same things that women at the bottom of society do. Because women would say on a regular basis, y'all talking about them ghetto hoes. You're talking about them hoes out the projects. And I
Nope.
can pull up stories about judges who doing the
We
same thing that the girls in the projects is doing.
Yep.
we talk about the women at Howard University, Tuskegee, Yale, Harvard. We talk about Michelle
White House.
Obama. We talk about Nicki Minaj. We talk and no matter what class disobedience exists.
But now, this is the thing, y'all. What do you do with a man who says a real man never blames a woman? What do you do with a man who says something
You
like
don't
that?
take them seriously. You don't take them seriously.
That's not a leader. No. At the end of the day, that's not a proper leader, bro. Because at the end of the day, one of the benefits of one of the hallmarks of being leadership is being able to dole out also rewards and also punishments to those who are also against you and those are also who are with you. So somebody who really tells you that, they're basically telling you you're really not a leader. And I would really look at that shit with like the utmost disrespect. But that's just me. That's why I look at it all the time. But
Yeah,
that's
I'm
just
gonna
me.
say this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. A very important man in my life told me that he would be so much further in his life if the woman that he was with would have followed his leadership. And I know that to be true. But they'll turn around and say some shit like, "Oh, well, we stayed with."
But I'm gonna say this, y'all. If a man says a real man never blames a woman, I think the proper thing to do is to question his leadership. And this is if you got time, because we all dealing with situations, things like that. If you have the time, question his leadership. That's what I do. Because if a man says something like that to me, I'll just ask him, well, how can you be a leader if you can't blame your followers? And I will point out how every successful organization blames the people who create problems, and they then create actions so those problems will not be created in the future. That's what every successful organization does. So to be a man and say you don't blame a woman, that does not sound like effective leadership at all. That sounds like somebody who don't even know what a leader, they don't even recognize what a leader is. And I say organization because a lot of people they get into little stupid arguments where they try to make personal attacks of people and all kinds of little silly stuff. What successful organization does not focus on who is to blame when things go wrong?
Exactly.
Never heard of that organization.
You can't have proper structure if you don't know who's in charge and who's with it and who's in charge of certain things. Like imagine trying to go hold your 1 year accountable for taking out the trash, but your 15-year-old was supposed to take it out that day. He's not the 1-year-old is not the 1-year-old or 2-year-old is not responsible for that, right? So they don't have the benefits of being able to use the car, right? They don't have the benefits of having an allowance, right? That's why you're giving these quote unquote benefits, because you also take out the trash, right?
Now I'm gonna read this
Anyone who
real.
says, go ahead.
No, go ahead and say what you're gonna say, because then I'm gonna read something from Compassion and Kindness, and then I'm gonna give Black Hulu the flow. He done came up. Go ahead.
Any so-called male entity who uses a real man, that I call that a male hardware using a female broken software.
Shout out to Compassion and Kindness. He said, a man who says real men never blame women don't respect male leadership. So he doesn't qualify to dictate masculine policy. Now, I can't say I disagree with that one, because I agree. that guy is letting me know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he has no idea what manhood is about. But I'm gonna get the flow to Black Ulu since he done came up. You got it, my brother.
Yeah, Roger, thanks for having me. I hope you and the gentlemen on the panel, folks in the public chat, are doing well. Leadership. I mean, so few of us today, unfortunately, are being raised with our fathers as being the primary leader of our homes and the early part of our lives. So we don't even really know what leadership is. It's kind of a fantasy. Black men or black men in particular being leaders is more of some sort of theoretical concept than it is something you've actually, I'm speaking generally, have been trained to do, been made to understand all the rules of being a leader, all the goals and responsibilities, how you manage leadership, particularly within a family, because of course that's going to be different from how you manage leadership if you are a teacher, for example, in a school, or an administrator in school, or if you run a business. It is going to be different. How you manage a wife is going to be different than how you manage a software company or whatever. So, but if you've not observed it, uh, good and bad, positive and negative, when to use the carrot, when to use the stick, so to speak, with a woman and children, then you're just kind of going off of this note. For many black men, you're going off this noble concept of a black man supposed to be a leader, and usually it's a very sort of self-sacrificial sort of leadership. It's usually I'm bearing all the responsibility, I'm giving all the blame, because you're a man, you're a black man, your leadership is under suspicion. Black men have collectively failed black women, so there's this guilt burden placed on you that is filtered down to all of us who have not been trained better, and it results in this whole notion of, well, if things go bad, it's all on me. Don't blame the woman. It's a foolish position to have. It's a counterproductive, self sabotaging position to have, but it's kind of to be expected given our particular history and society.
Yeah, and that's why I say this is one of the biggest problems that black men have, if not the biggest, because how do you fix something, but you can't blame the person who creates the problem? Because again, y'all, I know of no successful organization that does that. Every big company likes to zero in where a problem was created from. Who came up with this problem? Now, they're going to do, depending upon what the problem is, they're going to have some measure of adjustment. Sometimes it's talking to a person. Sometimes you're going to lose your job. But the thing that they do is try to make sure whatever that person was doing, they created this thing. They blame that person for it. They blame the behavior for it. They're going to blame somebody and say, hey, a lot of times they're going to come out and say, this is the new policy, y'all. Because they're going to eliminate room for somebody else to make the same mistake. Companies do that all the time. You cannot do that unless you are willing to blame somebody. Now, I'm not going to say the company going to tell everybody in the company who got blamed. You may not have no idea why this new rule came up. But the company, the leadership, they going to know who they blaming or why this happened. This is what we failed here because we never instructed this person never to do that. Or they failed here because they gave somebody a poor instruction here or there. Again, sometimes as a person, you may lose your job. Just depends on how stuff come out. Sometimes it's not that big a deal. We can kind of sweep it under the rug, but we know this is where the problem originated from. And now we're going to do a policy change so we don't run into this stuff again. Every organization that's successful knows how to correctly blame people. I'm not saying they got to embarrass you. I'm not saying they have to get rid of you, but sometimes that will happen. But I've never heard of anything successful where you don't blame somebody. We see it all the time. Great Black Reset, you was about to excuse me, the Emperor Strikes Back. You was about to say something, I think.
Um, well, I was going to say to your question, and I think you kind of covered most of it, was not only are you blaming them when you go to this company, you're assessing them, and you're gonna replace the problem. And I think this is the difficulty that black men are having, is understanding that they need to be replaced. They're poor employees. They're never gonna allow your company to succeed because they want power. And they've already proven within their leadership that our community is a failure. You look at our children, you look at the crime rates, you look at the educational level of our children and stuff like that. They're failing. They're failing. It's time to fire these employees in mass and bring some new employees in. It's time. I'm sending Anakin Skywalker to
Yeah,
they kill off all the Padawans. It's over.
yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Ru.
it's no, I mean it's really tough because you know, I mean, we're talking about this in a business way, but obviously it's easier to make quote business decisions about if you're like I say own or manage a company, for example, versus a wife and children. And if you're not raised up in, like that's why, I've repeatedly said or asked, sort of philosophically, what's your life mission? What's your life objectives? Where, you know, okay, 3 months have gone by, 5 months, 6 months have gone by, a year has gone by. Where are you on the road to what you're trying to be, sort of strategically? And I know this is very sort of, especially for you younger people, and admittedly, I'm applying some business school uh, uh, terminology here because we're using these business analogies, you know. Well, yeah. Then what is the mission of this enterprise? What is what are you trying to achieve here? Because if you have a clear view of that, it's easier to hold everybody accountable. If it's clear to you that this bitch is fucking up some particular, and I'm using it to emphasize a point, forgive my language, but if it's clear this is going to fuck up me being able to get to where I gotta go, she gotta go. We recently seen an example of that occur uh, with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott. I'm sure you guys have heard what's going on with Dak Prescott. He was a week
Mm-hmm.
away from marrying some woman. He presented her with a prenuptial agreement. He's got 2 kids with this woman. She refused. She refused to sign the agreement. He pulled the plug on that marriage. That's the man who has some perspective about his life mission and objectives and where he's trying to go and where he's trying to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Because he knows if he don't get that deal, then whatever vision he has about where he's going to be after his career is over and what sort of business interests he's going to try to affect and what he's going to try to set up for his great grandchildren, that shit is derailed if he don't get that deal done. So when you talk about leadership and leading women, well, what is your mission and what's your objective? And how keenly are you operating towards affecting that? You have to be clear about that as a man. You can't just be saying, I'm the damn leader because I'm a man. No, you need to have a mission. You need to have a life mission. You need to have a life vision and something you can beat her over the head with when it's clear she's effing that up.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say well said. And shout out to Compassionate Callous. He says black men are the CEO of the gynocracy. The women are the board of directors. We just the face of the organization from their POV. We're the fall guy, not the leaders. He also says the CEO can't hold the board of directors accountable usually. now, now I would
I
say
mean, I'm
That's
not
well
sure.
put.
In that analogy, I think white people and white supremacy is that board of directors, and maybe the women are the CEOs, and
Yeah,
we're just the flunkies in that analogy.
yeah,
In that
we're like
analogy,
low. Yeah, we're like lower level management.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, a
and very
CEO
replaceable.
actually, a chief executive officer actually does move shit. But they're under the ultimate auspices of the board of directors. Presumably, although very often the CEO is often also on that board and very often is the chairman of that board, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like
So
now we're
no, in
getting
And,
that
twisted
analogy,
reality.
I would say I would say the board of directors is white supremacy. The chairman, and the board is white supremacy in
But
that analogy.
compassion did say bingo, Uru. He said we more like chief operations officers. Well,
Yeah, I mean, we're assigned to actually do work or make sure so the status quo continue to operate. So, and we have various degrees of power within that, but we are ultimately the setup is ultimately we're under the women, and of course the women are under white supremacy.
Your old
I
now
would
job.
challenge black men to really consider what we're saying here. And when you're choosing your women from this day forward, you need to vet them and say, hey, listen, this is the plan. This is where I'm going. You either with it or you're not. And any woman that is bucking up against your plan, get rid of that chick immediately. Don't spend no
Hmm.
time with her. Don't have sex with her. Don't talk to her. Put a number out your phone. Get rid of that, man. Get rid of these chicks immediately. Don't play with them.
I
Your
put a
Negroes are
video.
way too comfortable, okay?
I
Your
put a
job
video in the back
is
for
to
y'all if
protect,
y'all
provide,
wanna.
and shut up.
I put a video in the back for y'all, man. That'll perfectly encapsulate what y'all actually talking about right now. So I put it in the chat. So yeah,
all right. Now I'm gonna say, look, y'all, this is something that black men have total control over. We have total control over how we see stuff and how we do stuff. So at the end of the day, I understand a lot of us are gonna have an ego thing going on when it comes to being a leader. A lot of black men get caught up in ego big time because you live a life where you basically never been taught you should lead. Now you got all these people telling you you're the leader, and now you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. You don't want to step on nobody's toes, but you do want to experience being a leader some kind of way. You do want that experience though. So you got to make some tough decisions here and there about when you're actually going to be a leader. So when it comes down to it, as a single man, you get married when you comfortable expanding your company. So you got to view yourself like you're the company. Do you expand your company? Do you pick up a new location? You know, is this new location in a proper place? Maybe you think about it as franchising
Yeah.
or something. You know, because she gonna do some stuff that you're not gonna see. Can you trust her to do the right things when you're not present? And if you can't trust that, then why do it? And for women who are complaining that men don't want to marry them, I don't know what to tell y'all when it comes to marriage. Because I get some men don't want to get married because of the rules of marriage. I can't blame you for that because I hear about the rules myself. So I can't blame you for that. But I also can't blame a man for some woman who's holding on to a man that won't marry her.
Hey, Roger, I
Oh,
like the way you thinking, man. I like that franchise thing because sometimes, you just in a bad area for shopping. You just don't want to have open a franchise in this area. It's not going to be productive. You might have to go to another area to put that franchise where you can find some greener grass. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I wanna say shout out to Dak Prescott. He's doing it the right way. The brother is located in Texas, and according to Texas state law, no matter how much money you make, the most you can get for child support is $2,500 a child. Shout out to that brother.
Mm.
I love it. She finna get the Brittany
Yeah.
Renner treatment.
Now,
I love
and it's interesting because has she has she been smarter, uh, she would have signed the. Let's say she didn't care anything about him, and I don't know, but let's say she didn't care anything about him. It was foolish for her to. She should have signed the agreement. If she didn't care anything about him, she should have signed the agreement, married him. They have two children already, which maybe is a mistake on his part, but we won't dwell on that. Or may prove to be a mistake, unfortunately. But with them already having children, and if she signs that agreement a week before they get married, you have a fairly strong coercion case there in a divorce court. So it's very
Not only
foolish
that,
for her to not follow through with that. Yeah.
I agree, but not only that, she could have established lifestyle as a precedent once she's been married to him for a reasonable amount of time. I mean, she don't need but a year or two, and she can say, "Hey, this is a lifestyle I'm used to, regardless of what the prenup says." And he still has to provide a significant
Well, no,
amount
no, the
more.
prenup would protect him. A decent prenup would protect him from being able to just use lifestyle escalators to justify paying her more money. And we don't know the
Right,
terms of the agreement. I mean, we don't know how harsh it might be presumed, or how lenient it is. But he would have been able to protect himself to some degree from that in a decent agreement. But I think the them already having children, and signing that deal a week before marriage, you
right.
could find a sympathetic judge to say that, look, this woman was under a lot of pressure. She wanted to keep her family together, especially if he sprung it on her a week before they were to get married. Now, if he had presented it to her, months ago, and she'd been sort of stalling, then that might be a different sort of thing. We don't really
Yeah.
know, and I don't want to get into much of it. I was using that as an example of what it means to be a leader, because part of being a leader is setting things up in such a way in which you can actually lead. And he was trying
Yes.
to make sure things were set up in such a way where he could actually lead.
Well, there's an age-old adage that applies here too. She cut her nose off to spite her face. This is this feminism mind control virus. It's these Sith lords. They want control. They refuse to not accept that they cannot have control. She has tanked her future and part of her children's future simply because she wants control.
Well, no,
Yeah, I finally
If
understand.
Dak loves his children, if Dak loves his children, the children will be fine.
No, they'll
You
financially
know,
be fine,
I
but
mean, if
there's
he,
nothing better.
yeah,
There's
and then he
nothing better
makes you.
than being in a household
I
with him.
mean, well, I mean, but she could give him his children.
I hope
I
so.
mean, she could. I mean, if she's really concerned about that, she could give him his children. So,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, this
she's not
whole
out there.
look. I mean,
I
she
mean,
she should have married him. If she
Yep.
loved him, do what you're supposed to do as a wife. You'd be fine. Dax seems like a smart, self possessed man. You don't hear about him being out here on these streets or anything like that. So all the fuck up is on her part. She had everything to lose. Dak will be making. He's a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. He'll be 80 years old making millions of dollars.
So
So
She's
what do
not
we
it's
gonna
like?
just
allow that.
very foolish on her part.
What do we like in the? We like in
Well,
the third, fourth generation of
hold on,
feminism.
brother. You probably want to
Oh,
hold.
my bad.
We got a new guest coming in. We got a new guest coming up. I got to give him his proper due and his proper introduction, y'all. We're going to open up the floor for the My
I know you.
Leadership Get You Pissed On. We
I know
open up
you ain't
the
stopped
floor.
me for this fool. You stopped me for this fool. Lord have mercy.
bro,
Hey,
I swear
man.
we don't need it right now, bro.
This is one of the greatest of all time. Right here, y'all. My Leadership Gets You Pissed On. You have the flow, my brother. You have the flow.
Thank you, Roger, my good brother. So first of all, I just want to say, free R. Kelly, free Harvey Weinstein, and shout out to the great Epstein. Now, uh, gentlemen, this is one of the most dangerous things that black men has ever faced when it comes to relationships because you're the leader. And black men, I hope today you'll be equipped with the knowledge and tools to combat this in the future. First of all, there's a difference between a leader and a tyrant. Leader leads people who are willing to follow. And I'm sorry, before that, to hell with Dak Prescott. He plays for the Cowboys. So automatically, Philly people, Eagles, go Eagles, and to hell with Prescott and to hell with the Cowboys. Right? He gonna end up with all his money shot up in his arm like a drug addict. But back to the topic at hand. This is one of the most dangerous things that could ever happen to a black man. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't truly understand leadership. Leadership is about leaders who are leading people who believe in the cause. So let's go to something that we all know. Let's look at Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, could not do miracles in his hometown because people doubted him. This man had the power of God, and the people had so much disbelief that he could not perform miracles. Leadership is not about forcing people what they want to do. Leadership is not managing behavior. See, the problem with women, black women in particular, is this. You weren't raised with your father, so you didn't get discipline. You didn't get quote unquote handled like a goddamn zookeeper, because that is what your father is. And when we look at what black women are asking for, and American women at mass, they're asking for the father that their mother never got them because their mom didn't love them. Right? I need you to take care of this. I need you to take care of that. I need you to put me in your place. Right? That is talking about the discipline that your ass has never gotten. And now they're putting it on black men. Just like when we talk about weddings and stuff like that. The reason why you don't have a big wedding is because your mom was a hoe. Grooms do not pay for weddings. Fathers do. And guess who doesn't get good weddings? Bastards. And I hate to be so curt and crude with it, but this is the things that get black men fighting feudal wars over things that will never change. She is unwilling to follow your leadership, and that's why black men cannot lead, because leaders lead people who believe in the leader or believe in the mission. Any good manager will tell you the best people that you have are the people that believe in the mission of the company, where we're trying to go to, where's the direction, the strategy, or people that believe in you. That's it. Leaders don't need anybody else after that. And then matter of fact, the people that get fired are cancerous to the mission, meaning that they don't want to follow. So we cut them out and we push them aside. And so, black men, I hope you are equipped with the things today that you need so you don't succumb to this leadership, because AKA Great Black Reset, he's talking about the Simp Lord, and we know that he's an undercover Simp Lord himself, but we need to make sure that we are able to teach people. And I'll pass the mic.
It's past this Negro's bedtime. Y'all stop me for this.
Reset, you do have some Sith Lord qualities, though, to be honest.
I ain't talking to Dark Bane and shit, bro.
You definitely have some Sith Lord qualities.
And Great Black Reset, and I say this with all due respect, I'm not coming at you. That wasn't a shot. But when you know the meeting times and you know the hideouts, nigga, you been there.
Listen. Hold on. Hold on. Right now, I'm just Governor Palpatine. I ain't Emperor Palpatine yet. I'm still undercover. Y'all let me do my thing. Go ahead, Roger.
Shout out to No Place Hold. He says this ninja never fails to outdo himself. And you know what? I'm going to have to agree on that one. I'm going to have to agree. And he's outdoing himself right now as well, which is why we laughing. On top of him outdoing himself with the name that he's using for today. And y'all, I'm gonna say y'all, this is a real thing because we as black men, we got to literally start teaching, especially amongst black boys and younger black men. You only accept leadership responsibility when you actually had a follower. A lot of people try to charge me up with responsibilities for stuff. You as black men don't do this. You as black men don't. No. The men you like to deal with only did that. Because all the women I know who got married, they ain't got no problems. That's just real talk.
And Roger, I want to just say this last thing. How was R. Kelly able to pee on these women? And matter of fact, how was R. Kelly able to get the parents to bring these women to get pissed on? Because they were willing to follow his leadership. And hey, and niggas in the wilderness, women, the cost of entry is to get pissed on. I'll pass them out.
Shout out to Landon. He says Darth Sausageness. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce this, but Darth Sausage. Now I am gonna say, yeah, we just recently did a story about the woman who came out, who was singing on R. Kelly's mic. She said it was her auntie that put her on R. Kelly's lap. Told her, go get in R. Kelly's lap and ask, can you be his goddaughter? I think that's what it was. So, I mean, if you participate in the stuff, you participate in the stuff. But then some black woman would say something to me about why I didn't say nothing about R. Kelly. I didn't go suck R. Kelly's dick. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't suck his dick. What you want me to do? You want me to stop you from sucking his dick? That don't even make sense at the end of the day. But we as black men, we get caught up in stuff like this all the time. You know, I've had women on previous panels, and I know I've talked to many a woman who said, y'all problem is y'all don't say nothing to these men who out here messing up the community because they having sex with all these women and having all these babies. So wait a minute, you trying to tell me, the guy who wasn't even in the room, that I'm supposed to go stop the guy that you trying to jump on his dick? That's what you're trying to do. And you telling me somehow it was my fault that I didn't break into the room and stop you from jumping on his dick.
Because that's what a father was supposed to do. And you're supposed to supposed to make up for the father that her mother felt she didn't deserve.
Well, okay, so
No.
this is the
Let me say this right quick. I saw this. I moved. She saw Piff, she stayed. Why should I miss out on the next R. Kelly album just for that?
Shout out to Riley. Yeah.
Listen. I want to make this point because this goes back to that question out, right? And how women move trying to maintain leadership. This man forever will have the keys to the city of Dallas. This man forever will have the favor of the ownership group, which is which is a family. While he's there in Dallas, this guy is cemented in as a legacy there. He's gonna have his way. You're not even gonna need money to be related to this man. Just having the name Prescott in Dallas is gonna move mountains. This woman would rather remove her children from that because she can't maintain control. That is craziness. That shows you that whoever you're listening to and whoever raised you didn't raise you right, didn't guide you the right way. What else do you want? And the guy's wealthy, but even though we don't need to reduce a man to just money, man, just look at the legacy that he has built for himself and his children going forward in Dallas. Why can't any woman see this is where I need to be raising a family? This is craziness.
Now, Shout out to Shark
I
Sims. He
mean,
coming through
yeah,
with a
the only way I could see, the only way I could possibly blame him, well, I do think there's a way you handle that. And because here's my thing, you had two children with this woman. When
Yes.
you have children with a woman, and then now you're broaching this, you kind of done things out of order, in my view. You've done
Agreed.
things out of order. And when you do things out of order, then you have to handle things differently. Now, if you're telling me that he sprung a prenup on her a week before a wedding after you had two children with her, I'm saying your leadership was lacking in that situation.
Agreed.
Or
Agreed.
you did some things out of order, and which caused this problem to some degree. Now, she still, if she was sane, she still does that deal. Any reputable auntie or mother or grandmother would tell her, "Girl, you signed that deal. You signed that deal." Now maybe in because of how he did it, maybe it caused some emotional stuff. She reacted emotionally in a moment, and things get said, and then you kind of go to a certain point where now it's difficult to dial things back, and I think that could have been caused by how he did it. Could have been caused by how he did it. Not blaming him, I'm just saying that having those kids with her changes things a little bit to me. If he had no children with her, then it's all on her as far as I'm concerned.
right now. I'm gonna say shout out to Shark Sims who sent the super chat. He said black man gets 304 pregnant and child suffers. Now you left that as a question mark. I'm gonna say if the 304 want her child to suffer, they will. Because again, if
That's
you're
true.
not married to a man and you had his babies, that's 100% on you as a woman. So
I'm going. Sorry.
now I'm gonna say that at the end of the day, I can understand people saying stuff, but I do believe again, this is our problem as men. We do not blame women for what they did. If you have a baby by a man that you're not married to, that is 100% your fault because you live in a society that has already determined that it's a woman's body, therefore it's her choice. So whatever happened to you when you had a baby by a man that you're not married to is 100% your fault. I can't blame a man because you decided to have a baby.
I mean, basically, how society has always been constructed. Women have always had a male counterpart, no matter what kind of lifestyle they even live, right? Because let's say she is a hoe, but then you got a pimp on the other side to quote unquote manage that, right? And like, trust me, I don't know if y'all actually know. It's surprising enough. Hoes actually, you'd be surprised, but hoes do have families, bro. I thought that was like a myth, but hoes do have families, bro. And apparently, bro, there is pimps who have actual families. Yeah, bro. I thought this shit was a myth too, but apparently this shit exists. So however you want to go with it, bro, there's always a female counterpart to either, let's say, whatever male counterpart. Like if you the Yakuza, bro, there's a female equivalent to the Yakuza, right? So for me, I'm cool with it, but it is what it is. It's the yin yang, bro. So she quote unquote say, I don't want to have a husband or have a male energy in my household and whatever, and she reject that wholeheartedly, then she deserve whatever she gets.
But I think we're missing something,
Well,
and
let me say this real quick before you say it. Shout out to
I
No
mean,
Placeholder. He said she messed up bad for a marathon, probably second generation. Now that's a good point. Good point too. She may come from a broken family home herself, which is why she playing these type of games. But go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
yeah. So getting back to the point, because you're the leader, another thing black men have to accept is that women women don't know what a leader looks like, because if you're not raised by your father, right, how can you
Yeah.
possibly know what a leader looks like, because you never saw your father lead your mother or lead the household, right? So that's also an issue there as well. And and a lot of these women will have like these like pseudo father figures or AKA father figures. A shout out to Kev because he perpetuates that. So that's the problem when he's always helping these people, these children that to be a father figure. So it's hard for family planning. I mean, like it's hard. Like when you don't
Hmm.
have a father in the household, it makes it hard for productive black men to mate with women who have not seen that.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
I
is a
mean,
good
it's
point.
almost an impossible. And with every generation that the women get from Papa, the guy who, picture was on the wall. Um, with every generation they get from that dude, the patriarch. That's basically what I mean. Because you have some older women who will remember Papa and will, to some degree, have some romantic notions of male leadership. They don't really necessarily totally know what it is, but at least they have some sense that a man, some great man, so to speak, should lead the family. And to some degree, I benefited from that because my wife and her mother and her sisters and everybody, her aunts, were all married. We're all married. So a man is supposed to run shit. He's supposed to be the leader. Even if he fucks shit up, he's still supposed to be the leader. So it puts a good pressure on you. If you're the right kind of man, it puts a good pressure on you and it forces you to deal with certain things maybe that you haven't necessarily uh, been instructed with earlier in life. But when the women haven't had that, you don't have that kind of healthy pressure to be leadership. If anything, it's the opposite of that, where there's prohibition towards your asserting any leadership. Yeah, it
Right.
just makes it almost impossible, really, to deal with. That's why when I hear talk about marriage and black community and families, I'm always kind of like, I don't want to be too cynical. Yeah, I don't want to be too. You hear about this young couple, they're getting married, and he never met his father. His mama put her daddy on child support, or stepdaddy paid for the wedding. It's not gonna work. It's
and
not
and,
gonna
and
work.
I want to and I want to say one last thing because they keep talking about how back in the day the patriarchy, grandpa had a second family. Grandpa did not have the second family. Like we were not making money like that where we can afford two homes like that. Grandma had the second
How
family.
is it mathematically though? Mathematically, how is it every grandfather had a second family? How does
Right,
that
right.
even work
Exactly,
logistically?
man.
So
Grandma
unless they
had
were
the second
making
family.
second families, uh,
Grandma had the second
unless
family.
they were making second families with Martians or
Look,
Venetians or something, who,
but
who are they making these second families with?
grandma had the second family, and Papa just didn't know that kid was his. And matter of fact,
Is
and I'm you know
That's much
the
more
milkman.
likely
The
to
milkman
happen.
made a
Yeah,
late night and early morning deliveries, bro.
hold
yeah.
on, hold on. And you know what? You know what?
No,
And I gotta put it out there, right? We always hear about Martin Luther King and how he was doing these escapades, right? But how come we never talk about Coretta Scott King at the lady bar drinking out of lady cups? Because you're gonna tell me she wasn't
okay.
Now,
All right.
Yeah, we
Let's
ain't going there.
reserve
Hold on,
that.
we can
now,
even
just
we can even
because
bring up
yeah, just because
hold, hold
we ain't
on,
gonna
man.
call the name, call
look,
their
Hold
name,
on.
bro.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
look.
See,
Coretta Scott
I'm telling
Yeah,
you, bro.
that's
He
yeah.
working for the
Hold on,
CDP,
hold on,
bro.
hold on, hold on. Let me say this. Let me say this
Hey,
respectfully.
hey, hey, hey,
Coretta
man.
Scott King, can I finish, please? Thank you. Coretta Scott King announced that she is a part of the LGBTQ community. She has announced that.
Hey, man.
I don't remember her saying
Regardless of
she
what
left
may
us to
or
leave
may,
that community. I don't
yeah,
remember her saying she's.
regardless of what,
Oh, go ahead,
regardless
brother.
of what she may or may not have done, she finished the mission. She's
Yeah,
a widow.
absolutely, absolutely,
So I don't
absolutely.
want. No, no,
No,
no,
I'm
no,
just,
no, no,
no,
no.
no,
You had your say. You had your say. You had
no,
your
no, no.
say.
I'm not trying to
She.
shit on her. I'm not trying to shit on her. I'm just saying, like,
No, you already did. You already did. You already did. See,
Yep.
I'm gonna give her some credit as a beautiful woman because she finished the mission. See, regardless of whatever happened went on between them two, that's what went on between them two. She finished the goddamn mission, and I'm gonna give her
They
credit for
finished the
that.
mission though.
fair. Okay, you
Just
know what?
like
You know
just
what?
like Jesse Jackson's wife, she
Then
finished the mission.
I apologize. I apologize for letting the truth come out. My bad.
Now, I'm not gonna say that you let the truth come out, but I'm gonna say I respect your point. If you're gonna make up stories about what King was doing, and I'm saying made up because so far no one's been able to confirm any ill-gotten things that King did, then it is also fair to make up stuff about Coretta. You know what I'm saying? That go along with it. You can't say if you gonna accept and make up lies about one party, then you can't up lies about the other party.
All right,
No,
and
no,
then
no.
But
J.
But
Edgar Hoover was
Coretta
basically
was
blackmailing that
Coretta
man
was
the whole time.
absolutely
It's
French
same
fiction.
excuse right now.
Hold on, let me. I'm gonna put it in the back check because y'all think I'm tripping. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna show y'all the
I,
screenshot.
the only thing that I can confirm is she finished the mission. I can
and, and,
confirm that
and
that
I
she
can
finished the mission.
confirm.
So, and I'm
I can.
and
Well, let me just
go
say
ahead.
this: I can confirm that when Coretta was asked about was that Martin, Coretta said no. So at the end of the day, I got to believe Coretta before I believe anybody else. That's simple. She's never done
Correct.
anything to kill her
Hey,
own credibility.
I would rather believe the woman who sleep next to that man every day when they ask her, is that her husband? Did she quote unquote have a better idea than some raggedy photo or some person who said, is that your husband? I'm willing to bet on white
Well,
supremacist America that she has a better understanding of her husband than some random person giving her information. Now, I'm willing to bet that though. Now maybe in some people's
I,
minds maybe not so, but
I just I just think as a principle that no marriage is clean in principle. And I think that when a woman sticks it out to becoming a widow, she is to be honored.
and,
Like, how else are you going to change the behavior of these women that are out here just doing every fucking thing?
all right. But and I do agree with that. You know, I got to give a widow her props. But I'm gonna say when it comes down to it, you know, to get back more on the subject, y'all, because my thing is not even so much as what the women are doing. My thing is what we are doing as a man. When we say it's not her fault and she's unmarried, we got to start thinking about the bigger picture of what message we're sending. If she's single, she's 18. She's out of high school. If she don't have no husband, how is it not her fault? I don't care what's going on. If she's not married, how is it anybody's fault but hers? You know, people say, well, you know, she got in a relationship and a guy abused her. That sounds like her fault to me. Cause why she up with an abusive man? Because she want to be with one. That's the only thing I can figure out. But you know, nobody wants to be with an abusive man. Then how come an abusive man got a woman? Obviously, somebody wants to be with them. And she one of them somebodies. It's that simple at the end of the day. Now, is that me agreeing with him being an abusive man? No, that's not agreeing. It's just I don't care that she chose to be with an abusive man. She's an adult. She got a right to choose an abusive man. If that's what she like, that's what she like. It is what it
Roger.
is.
I have a question. Didn't Hitler also have some kids too?
I don't remember offhand if he had kids. I know he had a wife.
Yeah, he also had a wife though. But,
I don't think it was ever. I don't think it was ever reported that Hitler had children. Not to say
okay.
he did not, but I don't think it was ever reported. And in fact, he married Ava Braun fairly late in his life. I mean, it might be some question about what kind of time Hitler was really on, if you know what I mean.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna put it like this. Though. I'm also change my question. Then how about that? Then right? Do you think Hitler did have a selection of women?
Of course, he definitely had a selection.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
he was a great Führer. Yeah.
Okay. So even if
I
there
would say
wasn't a conflict. Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
would say during his time, he could have had any woman he wanted that was within the borders of control for him because of the
Exactly.
power that
So
he
Yeah.
welded. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he was doing because of the power that he welded. There was not a woman under his purview that he could not have had.
that's when I say when I see people like, well, okay, regardless if the person did evil, the person quote unquote smacked them or whatever. If a woman can believe that she can get some kind of benefit from that individual, they'll be around that man. So all you gotta ask when you see a woman getting hit is how she benefit.
Yeah, and what my thing is, yeah, if she's an adult, that's her business at the end of the day. I believe when women are in a state of freedom to accept their freedom. Now, if we gonna take their freedom away from them, that's one thing, but they free. So I got to treat them like a free person. And when free people, they spend their time with who they want to, as long as the other person will accept them. That's what free people do. You know.
Hey, Roger, we have in the community, we have some of these single women that telling 16-year-old boys that they are the man, they are the leader, even though they're not following them, but putting the pressure on these young boys without a father to be in charge and be their fault for when everything goes wrong. Some of these young men when they're 18, 21 can't do anything because they're trying to take care of a wild woman that wouldn't stay with her husband.
Well,
And
You know,
Yeah, I think you
a
should. I
good
think
that's
sibling,
honestly,
man.
collectively, we should just stop caring so much, really, about what anybody who isn't running our business cares about how we run our business. Like, it's not your income statement, it's not your cash flow statement, it's not your balance sheet. This is my business over here, and if you want to show up and apply for my business and get under my business plan and follow my leadership, then come on. But if not, then don't talk to me about my business. When you come
well,
into my business, realize I'm the CEO and you're an employee of my business. Okay? And everything comes through me and not you. And the moment that we realize that collectively as men, we'll have a lot less of these problems because
well,
at
we
that stage, they'll be forced into that type of submission. But unfortunately, I believe a problem is there's not enough of us that think this way.
well, I believe it's going to be very difficult for people to come to a conclusion like that when people are steady being told it's not her fault. And I'm saying, as black men, we're going to have to take some ownership of this particular part. Collectively, women, it's never women's fault. It's always a man's fault. It's always somebody who gonna say, well, but she's a woman, so how can it be her fault? She's a woman. Who was she listening to? She's she's an adult. She's not married. Why are you looking for somebody else to blame?
You know what? I take accountability for it. It is my fault I didn't fire you fast enough. It is my fault I let you stay on my liability sheet. When the liability starts outweighing the asset, I should have let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So it is my fault that I kept you
Mm-hmm.
around too long once you stop
Well,
following my
and that
leadership.
Now
and
that
that's
gets
why
started from
I
the
said
proper
earlier.
premise.
That's why I said earlier. I belabor the point. What's your life mission? What's your life objective? What you shooting for, homie? What you shooting for? Because if you pretty clear about what you shooting for, you very easily see that what she's doing ain't on the time that you on.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of
That's
us aren't
why I
clear enough
mentioned
about that.
Dak Prescott. That's why I mentioned Dak Prescott. He clearly saw she's not on. She is a potential detriment to what I'm trying to do, and what I'm trying to get. Let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all something. What it means to be a cowboy. The richest um, former living football player the most visited, the most visited uh, site at the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, is Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach was the great 70s quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. That man is set. You got two former Cowboys with like $100 million TV contracts, Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. In fact, if you look at who does Moose, it's like about 5 or 6 guys that got TV contracts that are former Cowboys that do the analysis in the NFL. She trying to fuck up that boy program. He gotta get rid of her. This guy can end up a billionaire. You gotta get rid of her. Dak has been very smart. Each of the deals he's done since his rookie deal, he signed the best contract in the NFL. Every deal he's done. This is a smart dude. He's not even the best quarterback in the NFL. He might be barely top 10. But in terms of handling his business, you can't beat Dak Prescott. So now he got to get rid of her. He obviously is a smart man. He's obviously about handling his business. So he got to get rid of her. He got to get rid of her.
Can I just ask one question? Just random question. Is this woman black that y'all talking about?
Man, it don't even matter. It don't matter what color she is. This is feminism at its height. When you got a guy like this that's making moves like this with a future like this that's gonna give you a future and a future for your children, and you can't see past your nose to say, I'm not gonna have the control.
All she gotta do is be a good wife. All she gotta be is a good wife and a good mother. As stable as he is, it's not like he's about to get on the streets and start doing shit. All she gotta do is be a good wife and a good mother. She's set.
Yeah, my thing is when it comes down to it, the issue is he's black, and for us, we're gonna find a way to make it his fault. Okay. Shout out to Shark. He said, "Rod, you missed my super chat, or I might be mistaken. I read your super chat again because I double checked. I ain't missed no super chat. I read it again though. See, you're not paying attention, brother. You ain't paying attention. All right." You said black man gets 304
internet
pregnant.
connection ain't no good.
It's okay. I'm gonna read it again. I'm reading it again.
Roger Staubach has not played in the NFL since 1980. The most popular site at the NFL Hall of Fame is Roger Staubach. That's the power of being the Dallas Cowboy.
But no, but the reason I asked,
Troy Aikman went right from playing in the NFL to replacing, what's the name them on CBS? I mean on Fox. On what's the name? John Madden.
John Madden, yeah.
John Madden.
And Romo followed right behind it. Romo followed right behind him.
Right behind him. That's what it means to be a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. That's a royal position.
Yep, got a lot to lose.
Yeah. It's kind of like being the Prince of England or some shit, man. In real life, it's kind of like that. But go ahead, Roger. I ain't meant to cut you off.
No, I mean that's a decent comparison. No, that's a decent comparison. Now I'm gonna say to read Shark's super chat again. To read it again, he says black men gets 304 pregnant and child suffers. Now let's be realistic about this. That's her fault. She's not married. She can't control what that man gonna do. That's not her husband. Why is she having a
He
baby?
proposed to her. He
Yeah.
proposed to her. No, let's talk about, because he's referring to what we're talking about. He proposed to her, Sharp. He didn't just, you just gonna be my baby mama and move on to some other woman. He proposed to her. So whose fault is that? When she turns down when she rejects the marriage, whose fault is that? Is that his fault?
Yeah. And I'm gonna say when it comes down to it, she didn't have to have no baby by him. That was something she elected to do.
No.
And
Mm-hmm.
she did that for her reasons, not for his reason, for her reason.
Right.
Okay. Now, the thing is, I'm looking at her. I don't care who she is. She still fit into a category. Any woman that has a baby by a man that she's not married to, that's a problem. If it's a problem, that's a problem she chose to create for herself. I cannot blame a man that a woman chose to have a baby by somebody she wasn't married to. It's that simple at the end of the day for
Yeah,
me.
the only one that can blame the man is himself. That's it. Man
No,
can only
there
blame
is no
himself
blame for the man.
for getting involved and not doing it the right way.
No, even
No,
then, brother.
there's no blame. He got to deal with his own issues. He has no blame for anything that happens to her. She chose to have a
No, no,
baby
no, no.
without
That's not
being
what I'm
married.
saying. I'm saying if anyone is going to blame the man for a
No.
situation,
Nobody should be blaming the man. That's part of the problem. She chose to
Yeah.
have a
Look,
baby without
I'm
being
not.
married.
I'm not blaming him. I wouldn't blame him. I'm just saying he created a complication when he had children with her. He created a
No.
complication for himself when he had children with her. Now, I'm not saying I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying it opened up a something for him to have to deal with, because now, assuming they don't reconcile, which I think probably would be difficult to do, if not impossible. If they don't reconcile, okay, so now he got to deal with this estrangement.
I
Steven
bet you.
Jackson, the basketball player, had a similar kind of thing where he made
Yep.
children with a woman, then he proposed to her, and some other basketball player mother, I believe, I can't recall who. Oh, it was it Mike? The light skinned dude. He played for
I know who you're talking about. Little
oh
short, light
man.
skinned guy,
His
or
dad
relatively
played in the
short.
NBA. His dad played in the NBA. Real fair complected. He played for the Kings. Yeah. When they were good in the early 2000s. His mother told Steven Jackson, because obviously she had love for him, she told go get a prenup, like basically forced him to do it. Like, damn it, you go do it. And it was like, I don't know, it was the day of the wedding or the day before, and she refused to sign it. Now she was a fool. I think if she signs that deal, I think a judge throws that deal right out of the court, because that was definitely a situation where he presented that to her like day of kind
No,
of thing. That would
no,
have definitely got thrown out of court.
no, my memory is that he gave that to her months of. It was the
Months.
day
Yeah.
of that he was trying to still get her to sign it, and she just
Oh
wouldn't do
yeah,
it.
you know what? That's right. He wait. They continue. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. They
Yeah, I think it was like
continued
six,
to.
Yeah,
7 months
He kept
ahead
coming
of
back
time.
trying to get
yeah,
her
almost a
to
year
to.
before the
Yeah.
wedding.
Now what he should have done was. You're right. What he should have done was he should have pulled the plug on the wedding. Months back when she didn't do the agreement,
And she
and
kept
that's
telling
what you
him
got to be willing to
her
do.
lawyer was looking
Yeah.
at it. Her lawyer was looking at it. That was her excuse. Her lawyer was looking at it. And then 2 weeks
Yeah.
before the marriage, the man that was supposed to marry them, her spiritual
Yeah. She.
leader told him not to sign it.
Yeah. She
Oh
went and
yeah,
And
got
it
a
yeah,
kept them
yeah.
to the
pastor.
last
She.
day. That's
She
why it
went.
kept them to
Yeah.
the
She.
last
What the
day.
pastor like related to her or something though?
Nah, it
No.
don't
No.
make no
No.
difference. The thing is, She thought that nigga was bluffing. She was trying to call his bluff. That's just all it
That
is.
was
At the end
yeah,
of the
that's
day,
exactly
How
what it
that what
was.
it
that's
was at
all
the
it
end of
is.
the day.
You
Yeah.
know,
And,
and
and like I say, what creates a complication in that situation is when you have children.
yeah,
That's
but
what I was really, and that's the issue that Dak may have to deal with because Stephen Jackson said, and I didn't get to finish the point, is that after that he was catching hell with this woman to try to be a father to his children, and
mhm.
that's the danger that Dak may face going forward. Unfortunately, maybe,
Yeah.
hopefully not, but maybe.
And, and the point I'm making is that you know if those children run into any problems, it's their mama fault because she didn't have to have
It's
no
their mama
children when
fault.
she was unmarried. And the thing is, we as black men, we quick to say something about what the man did. Now, the man does what he does. He has control of what he has control over. In America, the rule is the woman gets to make a decision if she wants to go through with a pregnancy. As long as we don't change that law, it's 100% a woman's fault. She chose to have a baby without being pregnant, without being married. So if them kids run into any problem whatsoever, I don't care what it is, I don't care how minor it is. If they run into any problem because their mom was not married to their father, it is literally mama's fault. Literally. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it to security services Sam's. You got the flow, my brother. You got the flow. You on mute, my brother. You on mute.
That's a good thing. You coming up here with some bullshit.
Security services Sam, you on mute if you're trying to talk. Okay, I'm gonna assume something must have his attention. Security Sam service once, security Sam service twice. Hey, I'm just gonna assume he'll jump in when he's ready. Something must get his attention. Okay, So yeah, this is my thing, y'all. When we get somewhat close to holding a woman accountable, then people want to say about something about what a man got to deal with. Now, there's nothing he has to deal with that's gonna change what the situation is. The situation is the man wanted to marry the woman. The woman, for whatever her reasons are, don't want to make that a good thing. So if them kids run into any problem, that's gonna be her fault. There's no point of discussing the man because men are held accountable.
Let me say this right quick. You gotta go back to the basics. Y'all out here circling the problem. Y'all got hoes. Y'all don't have wives. Y'all don't have women. Y'all got hoes to pick from. And here y'all are juggling chainsaws, talking about prenup. If I'm nice to her, she's not gonna do this. If I don't do this, if I got this prenup, I'm gonna protect my asset, and so on and so forth. The reason why you got to take all these countermeasures is because you know deep down that this hoe is a thief and you got to protect your asset. If she's not trustworthy from the get-go, you don't have to deal with her at all. It's just cut it off. No, no, no. She's not trustworthy. She's a hoe thief. Let her go. They're all
Exactly.
like that. They don't make
But
wives in the West anymore.
you're
You,
oversimplifying it.
they don't make wives anymore.
You're
All,
oversimplifying it. I
all
get it.
you all you got to pick from is a bunch of women, I mean so-called women who are born, raised, bred to be hoes. God, what's the point?
Now I'm gonna say now he's correct when you look at vast majority. Now the thing that the way he go too far is he say all too much, so I can't support him because he say all. It was never gonna be all when you have a group of people that's that big. But the vast majority are in that situation at the end of the day. And when it comes down to it, it's the situation that they chose to be in. The women don't have to be this way. But the thing is, we as men are always bailing them out of responsibility because we're gonna say when it comes down to it's the man's fault. When we gonna stop? Because why would if I was a woman and I live in society where you're gonna always find a way to blame a man, why wouldn't I be reckless? That's something black men don't really think about. Why would she not be reckless? Y'all blame the man for basically everything. You know, I was literally just saying, even with Dak Prescott, I'm saying about how he don't have no issues. None of this is his fault. But the thing is, what we want to talk about, what he might have to go through, that ain't got nothing to do with her. So as a woman, the only thing that she's receiving is that nothing's my fault. Well, if you get told nothing's your fault again and again and again and again, you're gonna believe it at some point. And you're gonna start having actions that show that you don't believe anything is your fault. And that's what black women do. They act like nothing's their fault. And where are they getting this idea from? Because I'm gonna say we go way out our way to blame some man for something that ain't got nothing to do with him, such as her having a baby. She don't get no baby unless she want one. Okay, none of us make her have no baby unless we gonna physically lock her up for the length of a whole pregnancy. And what man finna do that? You know? Now, rich or poor, same thing. What baby is a woman having that she didn't want? But everybody want to focus on what might be going on in the man's life if he have a baby. Why? Why we focus on what might be going on in his life? He's gonna be held accountable regardless. So why we focusing on him? Why we just can't deal with the fact that the woman had a baby, she wanted to have that baby, she had a baby in a bad situation, and anything that child suffered through was literally her fault because she won't do right. You know, I don't see anything other than that going on.
Well, like I say, it is tough to, in America. I mean, it's just a tough deal, regardless of what you do. I mean, I guess even if you do marry first, you still have the potential sabotage of of the woman, particularly raising your children. But I would generally advise that if you're gonna have children, make sure you do so with a woman that you can manage. A you can foresee yourself marrying this woman and having a decent marriage, a decent husband-wife relationship with that person. When you have the children before you reach that point, that's kind of like building a frame of a home without building the foundation of the home first. That's going to be a shaky home.
Now, I can definitely agree with that because at the end of the day, when it comes to black women, it's all a risk. Okay? Because you can marry them and they'll promise to God in front of their whole family they're going to act right and they still don't do it. So no matter what you deal with as a man, it's a risk, period. But the men are always held accountable for what they do. So at some point in time, we need to let that go and start actually holding women accountable for what they do.
I do think, though, and again, depending on her age and her upbringing, I do think that a woman who will manage her reproduction aligned with marriage is all, you can do probabilities, always things can go wrong. But I think if she's able to do that, she's more likely to be a serious candidate for a wife. Because what very often happens, we see today, is they try to get the baby first and then use that as a means to coerce you or guilt you, et cetera, whatever. And that could have happened with Dak. They use that as a means to kind of lure you into marriage, which creates an unstable and duplicitous situation with that woman. If that woman is willing and capable of waiting before, if you all are together a few years and she is responsible with her reproduction to the point in which y'all get to the point of, well, now we're going to seriously consider getting married, that woman, I would argue, is more likely to be a viable long-term candidate as a wife, all things being equal, because she has if for nothing else, she has conveyed a level of personal discipline, in my view.
Now we got Bad Black Gamer who done came and joined us, at the last minute. So Bad Black Gamer who show up whenever he feel like it. You got the mic, my brother. You got the mic.
Hey, salute to you, Roger. Salute to the chat. I was gonna try to wait till after one to come up, but I knew you would just ignore me and just leave me in the back chat. So I tried to come up a little bit for one. But
that's the games we play, huh? That's the games we play.
But no, the reason I'm calling up because I was listening to Uro. He said he brought up Jackson and what he did. And I just want to point out, like, him and Dak Prescott are kind of, even though they make some mistakes, they are showing us like some leadership qualities and what we need what we need to follow as, especially if you become a black athlete and you become a celebrity and you come into your bag and everything else. I just want to point out the fact that they need to sign a prenup. You know what I'm saying? They need to ask for that. And if they turn that down, you can't let them sign it afterward because then they'll say they signed under duress and they'll just throw the contract. It's almost like null or void or something. It throws it out. They'll just throw it out later when they get divorced. And I think that's something that what Jackson mentioned in his, like when she was crying the day before, right before the wedding, and she went and got somebody to try to say that that she shouldn't sign it. He can never like marry her now because he couldn't marry her then. That was the smartest thing he could have did is not marry her then because she would have said that she signed it under duress later and they could have thrown that out. And that basically made that prenup mean nothing. So this is actually a good, I think I just want to point out that these are good leadership that's been shown by both of these guys and how they handle the situation. Now, of course, it'd probably been better not to have the kids with her, and figure that out beforehand. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At least you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're gonna. Because obviously, if she's crying about signing the prenup, then that's something she's not the one. She care more about what she's going to get out of it than about being married, being a wife to that man. So that's actually a good, that's actually the best thing that could happen for Dak Prescott is for him to find that out now and then find that out later in divorce court. And I just want to point that out and throw it out. And I'll land my plane here.
I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, and by the way, shout out to Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby's mother. It was Mike Bibby's mother who would not let him marry her without that prenup. Because Steven Jackson said he was crying and everything, and Mike Bibby's mom was like, "I don't care, don't do it." so shout out to Mike Bibby's mom.
Hey, real talk. She a real one. She a real one. Shout out to Mike Bibby's mom. Mm-hmm. I always like Mike Bibby.
Hey, Roger, I don't know if you called me. I ain't get my 2 minutes. I don't know if you.
No, we called you, but you wasn't there. Go ahead.
I apologize.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, shout out to everybody. Happy Tuesday and everything. I was going. It was a comment that you had made earlier when you was like, "Well, the kid can't get into the community and all that." And I was thinking, I'm like, well, if the man gets a whole pregnant, the child has to suffer because the man gave the woman the seed. Because at the end of the day, we always like, yeah, this their decision to have a baby, but she wanted the baby. That's why she had sex with you, trying to get you into a situation. But you, not you in particular, but you know what I'm saying, the guy, he was out there having sex with females who wasn't even worthy of having a baby in the first place with. So like the child has to be, you know what I mean, has to suffer for that. That's different. I think if the child don't get into the community, the man shouldn't get into the community either, because he out here having sex with frivolous females, and that could jeopardize the whole community. Period.
No, I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, I say time and time again, life ain't fair. Your mama didn't care enough about you, so for you to get in. That's something between you and your mama.
But daddy didn't care about you either if he gave you to your mama.
And at the end of the day, dad don't have legal control.
What's that expression? The sins of the father being visited upon the son?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see,
there's a reason why they said that. There's a reason why they said that. You
Well, you
know,
could have put
there's a
another
reason
face
why if
on
you
that.
were born out of wedlock at a certain time, you were treated very differently than children that were born in wedlock. That's why in Game of Thrones, if you were born up north and your parents weren't married, you were Jon Snow, as well.
You got
As it
sent to the
turned out, he
wall.
was somebody
And you
So
got
you
else,
sent
had
to the wall.
so you had
or
to go
you
to
were John Rivers or John Stone. You know, there's a reason for that. You know, and it was about trying to keep everything in order and keep everybody responsible for where they planted their seed, so to speak. You know, you can't have it. Unfortunately, you have to. If the children don't suffer for the mistakes of the parents, then the parents will continue to make the mistakes. It's
That
that simple.
that's a very real thing. And see, this is the thing, y'all. When it comes down to it, because I'm not saying Shark don't have a point with what he's saying, but I'm also saying, hey, it's tough. You a grown woman. You did what you wanted to do. You gotta suffer something. If I say it's the man's fault when he doesn't have legal control, what does that mean? I don't blame people for what they don't control. I only blame people for what they do control. As a woman, you control if you have a baby, which means you control whether you have that baby while you were married or you control if you have that baby when you're not married. That's a totally 100% her thing. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, yes, her child is probably going to have to suffer because she ain't that great of a woman. And I'm okay with that. I don't even see that as a problem. You know, how do you, I mean, what do you expect to happen from that? Either women will act better because of what happened to her, or we blame the man and the women don't need to do anything different. Which makes more sense to me? Well, it makes more sense to me to just hold a woman accountable for what she did. She knew she wasn't married, so why you have a baby? You know, there's a real legal situation going on with that, and the man does not control it. I cannot blame the man for something he don't control.
I blame the man.
I blame him
You
too.
got you
He,
got you
he
gotta
gave
you
us
you
he
you you
gave us
gotta you gotta protect your seed. You can't be out here
go ahead.
dropping seed in these holes like that. You're out here dropping seed in these holes and then want to turn around and say, oh, it's beyond her, it's beyond me. No. Protect your seed. Guard your
No.
seed. This is your
Protecting
seed. No, 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 no,
protecting
no,
your
no, no, no.
seed. No,
Yes,
no,
yes.
brother. Protecting your seed is nice advice, but at the end of the day, she decides whether she has a baby or not.
Yeah,
That's
but
on her 100%. She
she
don't have to
And
can't.
have
then
no baby. You can give her a million
I can
seeds. She don't
also
have to have
decide
no baby.
not to have sex with them at
But
all. I
Roger,
can
you
also
already
say
know she's
I'm not putting no
irresponsible.
seed in you.
You already know she ain't shit. You already know she irresponsible.
Man,
She
look,
already
look.
walking around with a bonnet on
It's
her head and a booty cheeks out,
Yeah.
and
it's
she feels
still
like
her
she can't
decision
do
though.
it,
At
and
this
she's going
stage
to
in my
have to.
life, at this stage in my life, knowing what I know, I can't blame anyone but myself.
Well, you might as well stop because this is what the problem is. At the end of the day, no, I'm serious. At the end of the day, you want a better community or you don't. If the women have nothing to be blamed for, then you are endorsing them to do whatever they want whenever they want.
But that's not what I'm saying.
No. That's what you are saying. It
No,
doesn't make a
no,
difference that you don't want to say it. That is literally what you're saying. If you're telling me a woman has no responsibility, then you are telling her to do whatever she wants whenever she wants to do it. That
no,
is
no,
an
no, no,
actual
no,
fact.
no, no, no. I'm saying, knowing what I know at this stage in my life, I personally have no one else to blame but me. There are other men out there who feel the same way because we know better.
I'm
We
not
know better.
I'm not dealing with feelings. I'm dealing with facts. The fact is, if a woman is not the blame, then she's not responsible. Therefore, we shouldn't even be asking her to do anything different.
So let me ask you a question. Let me
Well,
ask you a question.
well,
If you have
here's
if you having a
the
baby,
logistics of things, the way things actually work, the way things actually work in the animal kingdom is the female is more responsible. She's got to be more responsible because if 95% of the men are responsible, you could still have a fucked up community by most of the women reproducing with the 5% of ne'er do wells, which is effectively what is happening in the black community, by the way.
I hear you.
So when you just look at the logistics of how things work, put aside your personal feelings about shit and your own personal issues. Because, yeah, you're responsible for your own life. That's fine, well, and good. But from a societal standpoint, if you're talking about building a family and building a community, a neighborhood and community and society, you have to make the women more responsible because they're going to dictate who's going to be born. Period. Because you don't need all or most of the men to be responsible people to still have a fucked up situation, which is what we have, where you have most of the black men don't have no children, then a significant number, and then you have another third of the black men are married, and then you have what, 8, 7, 8, 10% of motherfuckers who are impregnating the 60 or 70% of black women. So you have to make the women more responsible. You have to. If you want to fix
Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Let me ask you, who's going to
I'm not.
make them more responsible?
We will if we want to, but you can't make them
Exactly.
more responsible
Exactly.
if we ignore.
Exactly.
We can't make them more responsible if we keep saying it ain't their fault.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like at the end of the day, if a dude have a baby with an ancient woman, if a dude gets an ancient woman pregnant, it's his fault the ancient woman was able to have a baby. And us by even having children, by even giving them children and having sex with them, is not holding them responsible.
Now, brother,
okay, but hold
many
on,
a
Shark.
man.
The problem with that philosophy is it does not work. It does not work emphasizing the men. It don't. Look, if we made it like geese or some shit where you only have one man to one woman for life, then that would be correct. But how it really works is you got one lion, could be a corrupt lion, and he could, pollute, dozens of lionesses.
I agree with you.
And so ultimately, that community of lions is going to be destroyed, even though you only have one or very few male lions who are creating all of the problems. So you have to make the women more responsible. You have to, if you want to fix the problem. If you don't want to fix the problem, you'll continue to do what you're saying is the men got to be more responsible. The men got to be more responsible. Meanwhile,
So,
Pookie got 40 kids.
Now,
well,
and my thing is, we got to be realistic about this. At the end of the day, if you allow women to decide whether they have a baby or not, but you won't say it's their fault if they had a baby, then what can you say that's going to even make sense? Why tell them anything at that point? And I'm
you
saying this
don't stop dealing with them.
as a real no. You got to listen to what I'm saying. Stop. Don't brush it off from a personal standpoint. If I can't tell a woman when she can or can't have a baby, and then I'm gonna blame a man because she decided to get pregnant, what's the point of me telling her anything?
But how did she get pregnant?
Who cares? She the one going. If I can't hold her accountable for when she has a baby, does it make a difference how she got pregnant?
No, no. See, that's where
Yeah,
we going wrong.
I see what's happening. I see
I'm
what's
not.
happening.
I'm
Bro,
not saying you can't
look,
hold her
he's coming from
accountable
a
for her
societal
actions.
standpoint. I agree. I
You have growing numbers of black women who are making children with non-black men.
I
So you want
agree.
to make us more responsible while they go make children with Ahmed and Brad and Jose in them.
And we're not responsible
It
for
don't
those.
make sense.
Yes, we are because they
nah.
black children.
But
No,
those
they're not
but the,
black.
but those
They're
but
not
those
black
babies
children.
are going to come into but those babies are going to come into our community. They're going to go to schools with our children.
But
They're going to
that's
be in the neighborhoods with our children.
I say that's from that large amount of men who aren't us. That's from them. That's from them. But if we're also saying that we're not going to take care of their children, we're not going to be Jesus Christ to their women, then why does it really matter? We're going to, if we believe that, we ultimately hold the power and we are the leaders, then ultimately that's going to produce its head. At least I believe. And I think it starts with men who have the mentality just like myself. If they don't get on our program, you need to leave. I think they're going to eventually get tired of these simps at some point. They don't even like those dudes.
Bro, they don't care about the simp. They care about having a baby with no responsibility. They don't care who they get that from. Any
But
nigga do.
that goes right back to where the baby's coming from.
Oh, the baby is being carted off as black men's children. That's the whole point of them talking about what the community not doing. So you will feel dumb enough to pay them because they had a kid with a nigga they wasn't supposed to have a kid by. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, we don't got to do that though. There is no law that
No,
forces
no,
us to
no.
take
But
care of
that's
somebody
what
else's
we
kids.
are doing. And we're not gonna stop if our mindset don't change.
I agree. I know that some people are doing that. It's they need to stop.
When you give money to some kids for school materials, what are we doing? We're literally saying she can go have a baby with anybody, and then we'll pay for that child.
And see, that's where I think the confusion is coming from. You're talking about us as if we're them, but I understand what you're saying from
No,
a
no, no.
societal
I'm
standpoint.
talking about the collective. That's what's
Right,
being seen,
right,
bro.
yeah.
If I'm giving money,
If you tie to a church and that church has a
Right.
nursery school
Yep.
where 80+% of those children are from
Yep.
baby mamas, you're contributing to the problem.
Who is that here?
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Who is that here?
no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
the church that the Obamas went to on the south side of Chicago, Reverend Wright's church.
Yeah, but I agree from a
Yeah,
societal
daycare
perspective. Most
center and
people are
school
doing it
over
this
there.
way. Most people are operating this way, and it's adding to the problem. I absolutely agree with that. I'm just saying I'm
Uh,
not operating this
No, no, but the thing is, we this is a show for the people. It's not a show for just a person on
way.
the
Yeah, yeah,
panel.
I got you. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if we agree that the woman can have a baby any kind of way she wants and it's not her fault, then we are agreeing that we want a bunch of baby mamas out here doing whatever. You
Yeah.
can't say one and the other don't come with it. People want to have a coin, but don't want the tails, but they want to keep the heads. That ain't how coins work. If you get heads, you got to get tails too. So when it comes down to it, point blank, it's her fault, man. Why is it so difficult for us to even say it's her fault? Ain't nothing else her fault. We talk about what men got to do all the time. If ain't nothing else her fault, why is it so hard for to make
Hey,
her
hey,
having a
look.
baby that she has 100% control over her own fault?
That's what you tell her.
Responsible
Make
for
you walk
her
away
own
from
movement,
it.
bro.
It's your fault.
This point,
That's
you
what you
got
tell
dudes
her.
out
Make
here
you walk
specifically
away from
saying
it. It's your fault.
that we supposed to
It's
be
your fault.
responsible for their wound.
In the past, we used to put most of the pressure on the girls because we knew once the women go awry, shit is fucked. People knew that. We have known that historically across continents and across eras, and we know if the women are loose with it, it's over. It don't matter what the majority of men do because it only takes a few men to perpetuate the problem amongst the majority of women. If you don't fix the problem amongst the women, you end up with the black community we've had the last 60 years. Period.
Black men don't want to be able to leave their hoes out here, man.
Well,
They
hold
really
on. Let
don't
me get
want
these
to live
super
it.
chats in. Let me get these super chats in. Shout out to Landon. He say only 5 to 8% of black men are deadbeats statistically. I mean, that's a very real thing, but that's definitely not how it looks to people because we accept that it's our fault, no matter what. You know, shout out to No Placeholder. He
Because
said,
but now if you rewind the clock back to the 70s, people talk about that very different. Because I came up then, and all the pressure was on the girl. All the blame was on the girl.
yeah, which is
Because
where it
they
should
knew
be.
all it took was a couple of Daquans. All it took was a couple of Daquans or Tyrones to come through and blow them all up, which is what started happening in the late 70s and then into the 80s and beyond.
And I'm saying we're making an argument for that if we're blaming the men when women have 100% control over if they have a baby or not. And shout out to No Placeholder. He said feminism took the responsibility off women. Uru, you know, he hit Uru with what he said. Thumbs up, Uru. Yeah, and yeah, it
That's
definitely
totally true.
pushed those messages. Definitely. And shout out to
And
Bucket.
wherever it could be blamed, they put the blame on men. Wherever it could be blamed, they put the blame on men.
Yeah. Now shout out to Buck. He said, "What about the Tennessee three? 3 guys with 78 children by 46 women." Well, let me tell you about that, brother. That was one of the first of the 4 stories that I researched. When I researched, now they only had 72 at the time. So when I first researched this story, if my memory's correct, it was them and 3 other stories that I put with that equaled 238 children by 146 women with 11 guys. I'll say that again, y'all. If my memory's correct on the number, which I pretty much believe it is, it equaled 238 children. 238 children. 146 women, or was it 41? No, 146 women, 11 men.
That sounds like the NFL.
That included the Memphis 3. It included them, but they only had 72 kids at the time. They had 78 because they still having babies. Boy, I hear it. Okay, they only had 72 at the time. It included some dude who literally worked for McDonald's who had like 17 kids on his own. It included some guys off a TV show, Ayala Van Zandt. It was like 6 guys, 50 kids. You know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
and if you live in those areas, you're paying for those men's children. If you live in those areas, if you pay, for example, to finance the school, and you know you pay federal taxes, state taxes, sales taxes, assessment, real estate taxes. I mean, all of that is paying to take care of those men's children. All of that is going in various funding sources to pay for those men's children. So you don't have to have any children. You could have used a condom every time, or you could have been abstinent. Still don't matter. You still paying for ill-made children.
Can I say something real quick?
Now, hold on, before you ask. Now let me say this. The women don't even have to pay for kids. When the women don't pay for children, the government just give them money. The government give them places to live. That's what happened to women who don't pay for children. Okay? There's no precedent that a woman has to pay for any child. So you telling me they don't even got to pay for these kids? And I can't even blame a woman for having a child that she has 100% control over? Now, do we want something right or we want it wrong? Because we keep saying stuff is our fault because we the men. They keep saying stuff is our fault because we the men. Y'all ain't built nothing. Y'all ain't did this. How come you don't own no grocery store? She don't shop at nothing you present to her. Just because you are seen as a nigga, she won't shop at nothing you give to her. And she gonna tell you it's your fault that you ain't got a grocery store in the neighborhood when she refused to patronize you because you a black man.
All right, well, let me give my comment real quick. After the way you
cooking,
it,
man.
I have to say I need to take back my 2-minute statement, and I'm just gonna sit in the back because y'all are absolutely correct. You know what I mean? Which how you put it together, y'all absolutely correct. I ain't even gonna sit here in front. Y'all painted that picture good.
It's okay. He gonna say that he gonna say he forgot that shit tomorrow though.
And props to you, brother, for conceding to the point. Props to you for conceding to that point, because we all have these notions about responsibility and black man responsibility, and I understand it. We've all, over the generations, have gone through this stage of how we're supposed to sort of heroically fix everything and protect people from women from everything, and it was all a mirage. It was all bullshit. It's all levers being pulled to set us up to be the stooges, the fall guy. When you don't have any children, you pay taxes and fees out the ass to state, federal, municipalities, goes into a system, goes to women who recklessly made children with men, many of them broke men, or at least men that don't have any sort of legitimate employment. And then they get all this money, they get all this housing, et cetera, whatever. And 99% of all the money that they spend out via those various sources, Walmart, well, I shouldn't mention any business, but they go to white owned and controlled enterprise. Let me say that. So it's a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. And the majority of black men are
Yep.
the suckers in that Ponzi scheme.
It's white supremacy. Like
Yep.
it is what it is. It is what it said it is. Like when I keep saying black women are locked and key with white supremacy, I really took the time and really looked at it holistically. And every point of activity, they are in lockstep and key with white supremacy. So they're white supremacists. So I'm not surprised when when things happen, because at the end of the day, she ain't on my team. So why would I care? Like for me, I don't care what happens to a Chinese woman in China, because that's a Chinese man's problem. I don't care what happened to a South African woman in South Africa, because she belonged to a Zulu man or Xhosa man or whatever man. That I understand this. I think the collective of black men others holistically don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, you really got to be careful now, because, like I say, recent studies said over like a 7 or 8 year period, they made close to 2 million children with men that weren't black. Man,
Damn.
not even making children with men who weren't even black, for Christ's sake, and they're gonna make
And
you responsible for it. So it,
well, we might have some allies in the white male community pretty soon here, guys.
Bro, don't even don't even say that shit. Like, bro, you almost made me go out of character by saying that shit, bro. Please don't. Bro, I'm gonna simply say this, man. This is the end of the black community. When I say it, bro, the black community will have to split, bro. You will either have, a patriarchal leaning community or whatever, bro, and then you have what's gonna be left, which most likely gonna be the Roman bandit of gypsy slash hoes. So
Man.
you can pick what side you gonna be on. Some folk really, I'm telling you, a lot of people, even on this panel, bro, they saying they want to be on Team Gypsy. If you're gonna be
Yeah,
on Team Gypsy,
I hear
then
you.
be
I hear you.
on
But
Team Gypsy, then, bro.
you becoming a little bit too extreme for a lot of people. I get it.
When that bullet hits you, I promise
well,
you, it's gonna be honest to you.
I mean, it kind of look gypsy-ish to me, though. I mean, I guess when you really kind of look at it, this whole disconnected from men or some sort of patriarchal kind of, it is kind of a loose kind of thing, and it's going to become even more loose. Now, you're either going to have many of us who have no children at all, or a smaller number or whatever of men who have children, and it's going to be fucking chaos. And that's where your gypsies going to come from. Yeah, you're going to be making gypsies if ain't nobody married, and ain't nobody got no homes. What else are you going to have? What else are you
She
going to
gonna be
have?
Gypsy. So, like I said,
Who are
bro,
these
she
people
gonna be.
connected to? What patriarchal system is they connected to? They're not going to be connected to any productive patriarchal system, so there's going to be kind of gypsy-ish.
They gonna be out. I'm telling you, in about 100 years. I said previously, I think I said 200. So I'm gonna go ahead and I was being kind, right? Is man, you gonna see Keisha's out there living in what's the mobile homes. They're gonna be out there living in mobile homes by themselves in sheets, bro. In them little mobile home metal sheets, bro, by themselves, man. That's what you're gonna see black women looking at, and you're gonna see how smaller communities of that necessity all throughout quote unquote America. And that's gonna be what happens to what's left of the black female matriarchal community in America. I guarantee it.
It's already here. It's already here. We literally already looking at
Now you see in the beginning part, it ain't hit yet.
it. Living in the terror dome right now.
My thing is, so what if it is?
Exactly.
That's what they need to be. Because they don't have to
They
live
are.
where
They
they
are.
live.
They are community that they wanted, bro. They wanted to live in abject poverty. They will live in abject poverty. They don't want to know. They make sure their kids don't know who their father is. Their kids will not know who their father is. I mean, hell, the community is gonna be fucked up and it's gonna be a hard place to live. They got everything they wanted. They have the community they wanted. The problem is accept them and let them have the community that they want.
Well, at
Yeah.
some point in time, we got to stop
Well, again,
blaming ourselves for the stuff that they are doing. And look, I'm not up here to protect men. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, men don't need to take on blame for stuff we ain't doing either, though. If we're doing it, that's one thing. But a man don't get to just escape accountability. Whether a man is married to a woman or not, he still has to be responsible. A lot of guys, we don't really figure that part in. He got to be responsible regardless. Have y'all heard of something called child support? He's going to have to be responsible anyway. Now, shout out to all my hoes, demonetized. He say, Roger, quit stealing my talking points, man. Just dropped in, been working for a change. Carry on with this horrible string. Well, shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you, brother. You just mad because I thought of it before you thought of it. But I appreciate the support, my brother. I definitely appreciate the support. Real talk. Now, so y'all, you at some point in time, like I said, you got to think of this from a woman's perspective. Why would a woman change her ways? Now, black men, we kind of want women to kind of change their ways to a certain degree. But if you were the woman, why would you change? I get pregnant by anybody I want to get pregnant by. You niggas gonna pay for it. Okay? If it ain't him directly, society gonna pay for it. Heck, they'll give me a new apartment. All I gotta do is have this baby. I'll give me a new place because boom, I got this baby now. I'm gonna get free food. I'm gonna get allowance money. I'm good.
Right.
And everybody gonna blame that nigga. Cause that nigga trash. If you're in that situation, logically speaking, why would you not want to be in that situation?
Stop. Like everything is to my advantage. And people be really honestly surprised, like I'm act as bad as they could. Like I'm telling you. I have been to Tanzania. I've been to even in Uganda, right? And when I tell them the amount of shit that you can get away with in America, don't even know women say, "Oh, of course that you have horrible women. You allow them to do this shit."
And then and I'm just talking about the collective, y'all. No individual person, but we as a collective of men, we won't even say it's her fault she had the baby. She got
They
100%
scared to say
control.
that.
No, bro. I've said for years, black men have been socialized to be afraid of women. We are. The fact that we don't blame them, I honestly believe, is a manifestation of that fear. Real talk. That's just a manifestation of the fear. And shout out to Afro Merchant. He says, good discussion as always. Great points. Hashtag support black men media. Hashtag long live brothers in the wilderness. Hashtag Long live the habitual line stepper. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. Appreciate it big time. Appreciate it big time. You know, and all I'm saying, y'all, if we really want to encourage some level of change that's going to be better for black men, how can we really accept that a woman Okay, can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? Because I don't think y'all heard me. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, I'm still seeing
I
no
hear you.
sounds. Can y'all hear me now? I'm still seeing no sounds. Can y'all hear me now?
I hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Can the guys on the panel? Can y'all hear me? Okay, I see
Yeah, we
some
can.
yeses. I see some yeses, y'all. All right. I'm sure y'all didn't hear me just a couple minutes ago though, because I obviously was having some kind of some type of trouble. So I'm gonna say, y'all, when it comes down to it, you cannot fix a community when you don't blame the people that control where a lot of the problems are coming from. Because a lot of problems literally come from women having children and not having fathers in the home. I'm gonna read these again. Shout out to Afro Merchant. He says, "Good discussion as always. Great points. Hashtag support Black Men Media. Hashtag long live brothers in the wilderness. Hashtag long live the habitual line stepper." Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate the big time. Appreciate the big time. And shout out to all my hoes to monetize. And now I got to read this twice because y'all didn't hear me the first time, obviously. He says, at Afro Merchant, a hashtag refund being way too kind to Roger's content. Now I'm gonna say that's a bunch of malarkey. Okay, that is a bunch of malarkey. That's what I said the first time. I'm saying this time. That is a bunch of malarkey. But I was getting ready to close this thing out, so Black Uru, I'm gonna let you go first because you didn't came to the back. So Black Uru, any closing statement you want to make before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll just reinforce the point that I made earlier about, it's critical that you have some life mission and objective and something you're burning, you have a burning fire to do and be. It's very important that you develop that because so many of us have not gotten what we needed to get early in life, so we don't have certain basic disciplinary markers we would have gotten ideally. So the only way you can really surmount those deficiencies is to have something that is so important to you that it compels you to fix things that need to be fixed, right? Because you're trying to get to that destination or you're trying to travel this great journey. And so when you have that, it forces you, okay, I gotta get some, if I gotta get some counseling, or if I gotta deal with some health issues or dental issues, or just all kinds of things that you might need to do because of issues that occurred during your upbringing. If you have that life mission and objectives, it will force you to deal with those things, and it will change your perspective in dealing with women. It will allow you to do it from a much more proactive level and not reacting, which gets many of us in trouble. So I'll end my closing statement there.
All right, Bad Black Gamer, it's on you, my brother. It's on you. Bad Black Gamer, are you saying something? I don't hear nothing. Bad Black Gamer going once. Bad Black Gamer going twice. We gonna move on to Tunnel Runner. Tunnel Runner, any closing statement you want to make? Okay. I don't know if y'all can't hear me. Tunnel Runner going once. Tunnel Runner going twice. All right, Jermaine's fault. I'm moving on to you.
Yeah. Y'all better take off your glasses. Ain't nothing but hoes out here. So, since y'all still want to deal with them, I'm going to tell you, roll your dice, but you will always come up snake eyes. I'm not even going to wish you good luck, because you ain't getting none.
All right. Brunt, any closing statement?
Yeah. I'm just going to say to the younger guys, listening out there, there's a lot of experience in these conversations. So you may be in a situation where you feel like you know more or you think that you'll be different. But I'll say you'd be wise to just sit back and listen to a lot of these conversations because a lot of us here have found ourselves here from a load of experience from all different walks of life. So I'd say sit back, listen, and absorb as much as you can. And I'll close with that.
All right. And then I guess I'm going to say, look, y'all, at the end of the day, it is imperative for you, if you call yourself a leader, to stop allowing people that don't follow you to try to credit you with their outcomes. If you're not my follower, your outcome ain't on me at all. Okay? It ain't on me at all. If it's good, hey, great for you. If it sucks, that's a personal problem you got to fix. I don't care. Okay? I got to worry about the people I lead. And if you ain't one of them, do not expect me to worry about your outcome. Because that's the proper way to go about things. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do this Monday through Fridays, 9 a.m. Chicago time. I will see you next time around. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.